What up, nerds? Welcome back. We're back in the earholes. It feels like, I was going to say we're back in the earholes again, but it won't be any different for the listeners, will it, Alex? It'll be nice and spread out for them. However, for us, this is two pods in quick succession.
Yeah. What do you want to do? Where do you want me to launch this? Christmas Eve or Boxing Day?
Oh, Christmas Eve, and then they can choose whether to listen to this on Christmas Day or Boxing Day when they're out with the dog or whatever it is they do while they listen to us.
Good, yeah, that's that. Good shout. Good shout. Right, Santa's coming tonight, lads. Be good.
Yeah, I mean, the listeners will have figured this. I'm getting bad at my introductions, but the listeners will have figured this out hopefully from the name of the podcast episode. But we are doing a Game of the Year podcast of sorts. Do you want to give the listeners a little bit of an insight into the rules we've needlessly subjected ourselves to?
Yeah, so thought it would be fun to do, as we do our anniversary podcasts anyway on this podcast for games that are sort of 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years old. We've kept that to just the tens for this, so we're doing a retro game anniversary awards for 2025. So all games that are from 1995, 2005 and 2015 were on the table for nomination into 9 categories. However, the rule was only 3 games per year, which made it quite difficult and probably will bring some unexpected results.
Quite tricky, yes.
I saw David's list earlier as he was making it in our shared doc, and it has changed since I looked at it earlier, because he obviously had some year trouble. I think he probably had the same year trouble that I did, in that 05 was by far the best year.
Yeah.
Of the 3. So trying to take out 05 games was tough. And then to sort of substitute them with something from like 95 can feel a little bit of an upset. Also, we did have a rule where you could have one game from 85 in place of any of the other games if you really wanted.
Did you
One
find
of them made my honorable
worth
One of them made my honorable mentions for best gameplay. But other than that, I felt like, so just for the listeners as well, the categories that we're going to do are best story, best gameplay, best multiplayer, best sports/racing, which has changed since we announced it on the last pod, because I felt like racing's kind of a sport. It's cool. It's a good idea to kind of put the two together, because who wants to play like ISS Deluxe? It's great, but FIFA 05, no, Pro Evo 5 is probably one of my least favorites. Anyway, best console exclusive, best visuals, worst aging, biggest disappointment, and best games. And the only one I really considered worst aging for, 1985 game for, was worst aging. And that just feels harsh. It feels like punching down. Of course it's aged badly. It's 40 years old. I've aged badly. I'm nearly 40 years old.
I'm looking through
maybe,
this.
Maybe it just felt seen.
There are some pretty good games that came out in 1985. There's the one that you selected, which we won't need to talk about. But it says, so we've got a Duck Hunt game. Duck Hunt's good for what it is.
Yeah.
Ghosts and Goblins. I've never played it, but it's quite a well remembered title, right?
It's got good gameplay. If there was a hardest game, that would probably win. Well, don't get me started on that again. Don't you remember the 3 and 4 from the PS2 one?
Yeah.
Don't be saying nice things about Gradius on this pod.
Space,
like Macbeth
Space
to
Harrier,
us.
Who we are well versed in spoken about that.
I will repeat what I just said for Gradius about Space Harrier.
There was a Tetris game that came out in 1985. Would that be?
Was it just called Tetris?
Yeah. So in 1985 in video games, it saw sequels and prequels in video games, such as, and then Tetris is in that list. I don't know which one it is, though.
Yeah, because the Game Boy was 89, so it won't be that version.
So it can't be that. Was there there must have been an arcade Tetris, was there? That seems like
I suppose so. It feels weird to have that 4 years before the Game Boy
I
version.
did find, though, however, I will caveat this with that. I did find that sometimes I was looking up games for this list tonight and they were in the wrong year. Because there was ones that I was like, oh, I'll put that in the list, and then I looked at it and it was like, actually, no, it came out the year after. There's a mistake.
Yeah, this is the Wikipedia says it came out on this. I don't even know what console that is,
Hogan's
but
Alley
1988.
That came out in
Hogan's Alley, yeah, that's a good. Because that was the NES light gun, so that would have been Duck Hunt, and that would have been your light gun games of choice.
We're in
for the year.
the fun thing about 1985 is we're in the era where like sports games could just be called their sport. So there's a game that came out called
Nintendo
Tennis,
loved it.
Soccer.
Yeah, they loved that shit. They also had like baseball, I think, at
Golf.
some point.
Pinball.
Golf, yeah.
Ever
I
played
mean, yeah, they were the
Land?
first. They don't need to subtitle themselves. Like, this is the only golf
They
game.
are,
What are you
yeah.
going to do? Deal with it.
Oregon Trail. Now, I used to play that on my
Phone?
iPhone, yeah.
Yeah.
Back at uni. Had a lovely time with that.
Got a bit of dysentery on your phone, which is probably what happens if you spend too long on the toilet playing your phone.
Probably, yeah. I remember there was a period during, like, in the early days of COVID where the world felt dangerous. I used to have, like, alcohol wipes. Every time I came back home, I would clean my phone in case I touched something outside.
When you said alcohol wipes, I thought you meant you were so miserable during COVID you would drink so much alcohol and black out, and you did refer to those as alcohol wipes. I alcohol wiped again last night. I have no idea what I did. Sorry, yes. So yeah, you had alcohol wipes, which of course would have stopped you from getting dysentery, I'd imagine.
I would hope so. So yeah, it was mine was the least dysentery covered phone, and maybe certainly in my household anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and on that bombshell, will we move on?
Yeah.
So yeah, we've picked 3 games from each year. I forgot about 1985. I'm still happy with my picks.
I'm very happy with your best game.
I do want to caveat so we've allowed ourselves honourable mentions. I will caveat with my honourable mentions as I have tried to avoid anything Alex has previously mentioned. I think maybe there's one honourable mention in that I have that you have mentioned. However, yeah, it just had to be in there.
I will probably for the next time we do this, so in a year's time, let's do our lists separately.
So
because I feel like me just dumping it in a spreadsheet sheet and being like, there you go, fill yours in was dumb, because then you can just see what I've done already. I suppose you could have hidden it.
Yeah, in some ways it's actually worked quite well, because I think I'm happy enough in my own opinions that I was able to clean it out, like blank it out for my favourite and winners of each pick. And yeah, I purely chose different from my honourable mentions just to make the podcast more interesting.
Yeah, I think your honourable mentions are great. Oh, you've got the same one twice, only one time, haven't you?
For you and I?
No, you've repeated an honourable mention once.
Oh, have I? Oh, yeah. Accidentally. Yeah, I have. Let me pick a 1985 video game then, since we're...
I actually did have my own list. I'm going to see if I can grab that. I hope I didn't delete it. Oh yeah, here we go. And what was yours for? Oh, you get rid of the console exclusive, are you?
Yeah, I reckon so.
One of the ones that I had for a console exclusive was God of War. This is going to get cut, by the way.
Okay.
Don't know if that rings true for you.
Yeah, God of War was great. Oh, actually, no, I couldn't. No, sorry. Say that. Start that sentence again, because I need to actually. I was trying to read and listen to what you said at the same time, and I don't think I picked up properly.
I think you were changing the console exclusive, and I said one of the console exclusives I had written down was God of War.
I had that as a heavy this. I feel like this should be on it. I am not 100% sure I've actually played it, so.
Really?
I think my entry into the God of War series was God of War 3 on PS3.
Oh, nice. Okay, fair enough.
And I'm not sure, unless it's come out in some sort of collection that I bought over the years.
Did I have any other exclusives I'd written down? You could have Donkey Kong Country too. You could have.
Oh yeah, okay. Let's put DK Country 2. I don't know why that's not made it, because I like that game.
Yeah, it's brilliant. We were just not ready for it when we played it.
Yeah. The only Donkey Kong Country game I actively disliked was the
third one.
The one with the baby, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Back.
Okay.
An accident.
I don't know what we were up to talking wise. Should we get straight into it?
Yeah. Yeah, let's go.
Okay. First category, best story. What do you got?
So we're going with the winner, are we? And then we're mopping up our honourable mentions, are we? Or
Does that make the most
mention?
sense? What do you think makes more sense? Honorable mention first.
I mean, I guess we could do honourable mention first. I guess.
Yeah, build up a bit of tension for the listener.
It might not be my actual second favourite of the year. It is what it is. It's one that I thought was worth discussion.
Yeah.
So yeah, my honourable mention I've got is Life is Strange, because I remember when we covered this for a podcast, I went in blazing a trail, thinking I'm just going to do the most stupid stuff I possibly could, and then all of a sudden, something happens at the end of the first episode, and I was like, and this game won me round despite itself, to the point that I remember I was absolutely hooked on this game, and I'm quite disappointed that the series seems to have gone quite significantly downhill since this one. But this sort of taken in its own thing was one of those sort of quotation marks, and I mean it not derogatory, walking sim games that just really, really hit the mark with me. And I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Like a sort of like an interactive film, sort of. It's like in the Telltale Games mold, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah.
It's just it didn't creak at every single seam and fall apart every time it had to load all your decisions again.
It's funny. There was quite a period of time where Telltale sort of pioneered this genre to an extent. And then a bunch of different companies did it amazingly, like 10 times better than they ever did. So I feel like what happened to the Telltale Games is ultimately going to be a sort of sad tale of woe, in that like they struck upon this sort of game type that nobody else was doing at the time, that blew up into this massive thing, and they just overgrew and overstretched to the point that they sort of collapsed in on themselves. Whereas I think if they had been sensible, there's a niche, right, that they could have exploited.
They were getting good licenses. They were clearly in demand. They just took on way too many things. Couldn't handle it, and their engine was just too ropey to make quality.
Yeah, and they were so sort of on the hook and desperate to get games out at such a clip that multiple games would come out that just had the same problems in it as they did before. Like, I remember the one that eventually broke me, that I was just like, I cannot do this, was when the Batman came out.
Exactly what I was going to say.
And there was a bug that was wiping people's saves, and I was just like, no.
Yeah. They hadn't, if a developer was focusing on like maybe one massive game franchise or one or two at once, you would take stock at the start of a new console generation, come in with a new engine, make something way more robust and impressive than you had before. But they rushed so many games out that the console generation leap from 360 to Xbox One, PS3 to PS4 was barely noticeable for Telltale. And it ended up just looking like the same old shit. Like, oh, these are still broken. It's a shame because you're writing good stories, but I can't hear them because you've wiped my save before the end.
That superhero game that has came out this year, that is Telltale game, like
Dispatch.
Yeah, that's made by a lot of the some of the team from Telltale Games. Another thing they decided,
I am interested in that.
They removed the walk around stuff, because he was saying that even from day one he was not a fan of that. He didn't see what it actually brought to the game, where you just sort of walk around a static screen and try and interact with things. So,
that's when it becomes like a point and click game for a few minutes, doesn't it? Really? Yeah.
I need to get to that. I need to get to that game at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's gotta be a nice sale purchase, because it's only like 2 hours long, isn't it? Oh no, is that episodic as well?
6 episodes. Yeah.
Has they done them all yet?
Mm-hmm.
They have. Okay.
I think they'll all be out by now. Yeah.
Right.
They're certainly all out by the end of the year, so there may be one to come later this month. But yeah, I think they are.
Okay. I actually don't fully remember the whole story of Life is Strange, but I do remember starting off feeling a little cold towards the characters because the way that they were talking felt a little bit like older men trying to write dialogue for teenage girls, saying hella and all that kind of stuff a lot. But they were just really carried by great developments in the plot and really good voice acting that sort of could carry through a slightly cringy script and actually build it up to something really, really impressive. And yeah, I was absolutely hooked as well. I couldn't believe how much I was liking this teenage girl game, but it was really good. I've never
Yeah.
really played any of the other ones since.
No, I used to listen to the computer game show, and they absolutely love the series, and they have been playing through it, and they got to a point where they were. I was one of the last shows I listened to was when the most recent one came out, and they were just like, I can't. They can't. You couldn't even bring themselves to play it. They were having such a bad time with it. It was just they were
Man.
so bummed out with it. Yeah, I agree with you. I think I started off feeling that way with the characters, thinking that they weren't written very well, but for some reason, I just by the end of it felt that their characters worked. And then when I can't remember her name, but the main character sort of makes a big choice where she makes a big change in her life, and then goes round to her friend's house and she's in a wheelchair. I remember that just really proper gut punched me, and I have no idea why.
Yeah, because it was that because she did something. She could go through time, right? So she did something in the past that kind of affected someone else's life that was very close to her, and asks a very poignant question.
So yeah, that's my honorable mention, I guess.
Yeah,
we think we do have a podcast about it somewhere, and
I think we do. It's probably not. Yeah, it might not actually be anywhere on the internet anymore. I'm not sure, but we did do one about that. Yeah, it'd be interesting to know what we actually said about it.
Anyway, yes. What's your honorable mention, Alex?
Well, my honorable mention, I think, is going to come up later on, so we won't go too far into it. But this was like a. No, yeah, I don't think I was. I wasn't hamstrung by the year thing on this honorable mentions because it could be anything. So I picked Chrono Trigger.
Okay.
Which is yet another one where I probably couldn't actually go into the minutiae of the story from start to finish. I just remember it being a really great carrying point that was largely backed up by a really interesting cast of characters.
Yeah.
And some very stark, bleak, thought-provoking content around the class system.
Another time
history,
travel game.
Another time travel game. Yeah. When you're at that point at the end of the world or whatever it is, or the end of time with that old man who's just basically standing in a dark area under a lamppost and nothing else exists. And you've got the parts where you go to the future and you've got the rich people kind of floating above everybody else in this little like floating island of utopia, and everything else is just complete desolation. They made good characters out of a frogman. They made good characters out of a robot. Yeah, and I love the part where you're in court and you get arrested and you get put on trial for all the stuff you've done in the game up until now. So there's multiple endings, which wasn't really a massive thing back then. So Chrono Trigger is a landmark game in multiple ways. It's a all-star developer cast. It's gorgeous. It sounds amazing. It plays brilliantly, but the story is also fantastic, and one that I will absolutely have to revisit to kind of remember the main beats of it again, because it's not a game I want to have only played once properly in my life, that's for sure.
No, I agree. I love this. I think it does a lot of things that it both on paper and in the David book shouldn't work. Like at the time, it was a JRPG, which at the time, like I say, just wasn't my thing. Loved it. It was the combat mechanics worked in a way that normally wouldn't have spoken to me. I even think like the characters are so disparate and seemingly unconnected that in my mind that shouldn't work either. You say a frogman, robot, princess, random dude from a town, like
cave girl,
like, and it just comes together and creates this really nice heartwarming story and adventure. And normally time travel stuff turns me right off, but for this it works well. And I think the way in which it does a lot with a little, obviously it's a SNES game, isn't it? And it just creates like I remember, because of the story, feeling the distinct sense of tragedy in what had happened to the world when you go back in time and you feel that it had been ruined.
Well, yeah, you're in a desperate struggle to prevent basically the end of the world that you actually cause as well. So, and they kill off the main character at one point as well, and they don't shirk away from doing that. They don't shy away from an interesting rankle where your whole progress up to that point feels like it's taken away from you.
Which again would have been unusual for that time, especially in the sort of a Japanese RPG, which is mostly at that time, I would say, feel good. I think it's you wouldn't accuse it of that these days.
No, you're not killing Link off, are you?
No. Winners?
Yeah, go for it.
I had to get this in, and it was always going to appear somewhere. And I had it as best game, and then I changed it to allow me to maneuver other years about. So my best story, I'm going with The Witcher 3. I remember being utterly obsessed with this game when it came out. I think it came out at a time that it meant a lot to us both. And it's a cast of characters that I still think of to this day on a frequent basis. Geralt is an amazing protagonist that you feel is flawed but brilliant in some ways. He will sort of you can feel that he's often dragged into situations that he doesn't want to have to get involved in, but then when he gets pulled in,
certainly for free.
Yeah, exactly. Same with Yennefer, and I like how a lot of these characters sort of present as heartless people that don't care about things, but actually the way that they act and the way that they interact with each other shows a deep bond and affection for each other. And I think that feels genuine to me in a way, and to the point that when big narrative things happen within the game, it's extremely effective. It made me role play characters that games often, in a way that games often don't. I was thinking about conversation choices at times that it probably didn't matter. I was acting in ways around the world and in ways that I thought that this character would act, and thinking about like romance choices and stuff like that. And it made me care about how Ciri was going to get on. Now, the ending of that game was extremely impactful to me when she sort of makes a decision to go and sort of be an adult in her own right and move off and leave Geralt and Yennefer and Triss behind to sort of spread her wings and be her own person. And it's sort of it's an adventure tale. It's a fantasy drama. It's a tale of parenthood. All of these things rolled into one. And I just think it's a game that even to this day, it's almost unmatched. I think in it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's willingness to, I don't know, it's just it still feels good to this day. I'm trying to think of the word. My brain's going blank, and I'll shout it out if I can remember, but I am struggling now, so I will let you speak for a moment.
It's it's the best licensed game ever made, and that definitely elevates. Well, it not only elevates the story because it's an established world and an established actual writer of fiction, rather than people who just write video game stories. Not to denigrate their abilities, but you'd expect them to be slightly worse than someone who's just written stories for their entire career and has created this entire world himself. And I think having that established world and then that established character then leads to, as you said, playing a protagonist that feels more fun to take control of and make decisions for, because it's not always fun to play a massive RPG game as a character that you've created that may not even have a voice. It doesn't have a built-in personality that you can role play. You're just playing as yourself. Now, look, I don't want to get into the fucking semantics of all of this, but role playing, if I'm just making decisions that I would make, what role am I playing? Me? Yeah. That's not a role. That's me. I'm being me. And you and I have always said that we really struggle to be dickheads in these games. You just can't. Something inherently humane in us makes us not want to do horrible things all the time. Maybe partly that's gamified. We don't want to get a bad ending or lose, gear or money or cred or whatever the game's trying to make you have. So it's really cool to try and make Geralt decisions for Geralt and think how he would do certain things and see how he can affect the story, or you can affect his story for him. And, I wish more RPGs were like that versus create your bog standard character blank and slate. His three. Blank slate. Exactly that. And as you said, the series stuff is just, heart wrenching in loads of different ways, especially the decisions towards the end. And then, of course, the side quests as well. The side quests probably could win best story about 7 times over for all the ones that are in there, even though there's just isolated little side bits. There's so much excellent character development.
There's even
and
one that I still think about.
and things.
I can't even remember how it concludes, but it's something as simple as you're walking by a hut and there's a lady who has lost her favorite pan.
Yeah.
And then you end up going in and using your Witcher senses, and it turns out that someone's taken it and like cooked charcoal into it so that they could go and write a note to someone, and then you just follow this like wormhole of a story that just sprouted from a pan, and it's just like this is so well done, and people can miss that. And then I also remember
that's very much like, when you go to a job interview and someone's like, sell me this pen. It's almost like someone like, go on, make a side quest about a frying pan, go. And the guy was like, I fucking will.
Yeah.
And he did.
There was even like once a side quest I remember when I completed the game, I was just running around trying to check off like map icons, and I went swimming over to an island that the game never takes you to, and there was a side quest about some sort of invisible demon on that island, and I was just like, the game never shows you this, never steers you towards this. There's just these things that are missing. I also want to build on what you're saying before about how it's sort of helped by being a pre-built world, which it absolutely is. I think what's doubly impressive about this is I actually think, having read a few of the books, that the characters that have been sort of reimagined to an extent and fleshed out much more effectively. I don't know whether there's a sort of trouble in translation thing happening with the books, but yeah, I felt that the characters were much more likable, much more rounded and fleshed out in the game than they were in the book, and it really leans on
probably in the TV show, I'd say too.
Oh, hands down the TV show. I'd say the TV show's an odd one, because when I watch an episode of that show, I have a perfectly fine time, and when I turn it off, I never think about it again. Which means it's taken me so long I've not even caught up, because
I've only ever done season 1.
Yeah, I think I've done maybe 2, but yeah, when I'm not watching it, it just never comes into my head. So it takes so long to get through it. It's completely unremarkable show.
Yeah.
Without being bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Witcher 3. It's one of my favorite games of all time. It's one of the most important games in my book of my story. And it had to be in here somewhere, and best story is as good a place as any for it, really.
Yeah, it would have been in one of mine, but I think best story and best game was where it would have gone. But it came up against 2 of my top 10 games of all time. I mean, Witcher 3 is one of my top 10 games of all time as well. You're probably talking 1, 2, 3 on this, but it got pipped for best story by Yakuza 0, which
I'm interested to hear about this, because I think I've put about 15 to 20 hours into this game, perhaps.
Yeah, but I'm getting old, so I can't remember that story either. So it effectively tells the story, at least for Kiryu, of how he wanted to become a Yakuza alongside his friend Nishiki, which would have had a lot of significance to veterans of the series, because Nishiki becomes the antagonist in Yakuza 1, which is a spoiler for probably you and anybody else listening who hasn't played it. It's typical sort of mob story, blood brothers become separated by ambition or whatever. I think Kiryu goes to prison at the beginning of 1 because he takes the bait for something he didn't do. And while he's gone, Nishiki kind of rises to the top of the Tojo clan, and then they become rivals after he gets out of prison. But this shows how the two of them grew together in the Yakuza and the bond that they have together there. So that tells a really interesting sort of backstory for Kiryu, whilst also doing this really harrowing one for Majima, who you get to play as for the first time in the series history. And he's dealing with like this just outrageous drama going on with a blind woman that he gets involved with through some kind of hit gone wrong or something, and he ends up trying to protect her, but she's actually super important to a massive element in the story. And it eventually kind of shows him at the start being a relatively normal dude, but shows he goes through horrific events in it. He's kind of working to pay off a debt for this completely evil bastard. He gets tortured in it. I think it shows backstory about how he lost one of his eyes, and eventually he just kind of goes further and further towards the absolute psycho that you see him as in the first Yakuza game. The one thing I would level against it is maybe it doesn't push Majima far enough towards what you'd see in 1, so that if you went from Yakuza 0 straight into Kiwami or the first game, you'd be confused as why he's now completely mental, because he doesn't quite get there at the end of 0. But both the narratives play off against all the dumb shit that you can do around the world, all the silly mini games, or the, just going bowling or managing doing a management system where you can hire a chicken that you won in a bowling alley and by winning a bowling competition. It's got all those heartwarming, silly side stories that are among the best that they've ever had, even if they do sound ludicrous to tell people that there's a side story where.
One I've played, or is it Kiwami?
Yeah, for a little bit, yeah. There's a side story where you help very clearly Steven Spielberg, whose name is something like Simon Spielberg or something, help a guy called Miracle Johnson, who is clearly Michael Jackson, make the Thriller music video. But the zombies are all having to, like, the director tells the zombies to try and attack Miracle Johnson, and you basically, as Q, have to beat the shit out of zombies for this music video, but somehow they all go a bit mental and try and attack him for real. It's silly. There's one where you have to find a man who's stealing girls' pants and sniffing them or something.
I remember
There's one
that
where you have
one,
to, yeah, you have to tell a punk band how to be more punk because they're not tough enough. Genuinely hilarious stuff going on alongside some of the most gripping crime drama I've ever seen in any video game or probably any medium. So well written, brilliantly acted by the main two guys, incredible localization, a timeless game that, I'm very tempted to try playing the, I almost bought the whatever you call it, the director's cut on Switch 2 when we were in Doncaster, but I picked up the box and saw it was a game key card, and I put that fucking shit right back down again. I will probably get it digitally if ever it goes cheap, because I'd like to see that again. Apparently the new stuff they added to it is dog shit and not worth having anyway, but I want to play it. I want to play it again. And I'd love it if you ever finished it as well. And that's not a pressure thing there. That's just I would love it, so we can actually talk about the shit that happens in that game, because it is
I'm not sure why I must have got distracted by it, because we
probably had a podcast to do, and you thought this game's going to take me 80 hours. I better stop.
Because the guy with the eye patch, I got up to his bits, and there's a bit in his club where there's like a scene where a guy starts causing trouble.
Oh, that's his introduction. One of the all timers.
Yeah, that's basically how far I got. I got like an hour or two past that. So that's
because you start as Kiryu, don't you?
Yeah,
and then you get to Majima, and it's like he's the manager of the club, and the guy's being a complete prick, and causing a ruckus, and Majima just really calmly deals with it, but in a very sinister, like undertone way. It's amazing, an amazing character introduction.
Great choice.
Right, best gameplay. Oh, I'm excited to hear about. So this is where I put my 1985 game. Do I need to say more than Super Mario Bros. And we move on?
We just move on.
The ultimate, game industry reigniting game where it just blew up big time because the gameplay was so simple and straightforward, but so tight, and the level design was so ahead of its time that it obviously created and popularized the industry that we're still talking about 40 years later. It still holds up. It's not the best Mario game, but it will never, ever feel like a bad video game. It just will never age out of being playable and fun.
I would absolutely love you to try and rank all the Mario games and see where it comes. I think, because I don't think it would even, I don't disagree with anything you're saying. I'm trying not to be, I'm trying to be a positive podcast. I don't think it would be top 5, honestly, at this point.
Yeah. We Well, we need to go back to the genre wars next year because platformers was our next one. But I'm pretty sure I tried to concoct this like, let's do a Nintendo and a Sonic, like a Mario one and a Sonic one, and then we'll have like one 3D platformer from each and one 2D platformer, and then we'll do all the other platformers in the final brackets. It's gonna be like 8 podcasts to get to do it, but that will probably see us ranking the Mario and Sonic games, I would imagine.
Excellent.
So that it will happen.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Gameplay's it holds up to this day. It's one of those games that you can give someone that doesn't play video games a controller and they can immediately play it.
Yeah.
I think that's important, like, because they can immediately play it, but you can also be very, very good at this game at the same time, if that makes sense. What's the
a speed run's always great fun.
Yeah, yeah, I love that game.
Sorry, what is the old saying? What were you going to say?
Easy to pick up, difficult to master, or something like that. Yeah, but it absolutely is that. And don't
it's
play the lost levels.
No, don't play the lost levels. But I love like the warp pipes in the game is so perfect for like if I go to like a Play Expo or an old sort of like a museum or an arcade thing that's got like consoles around, and if I see Mario 1, I'm like, I reckon I could beat this in a wanna. Let's see if I can remember where all the warp pipes are and get to World 8-1 in like 2 minutes, and then see if I can finish it. I love it.
Yeah. I've got
yours. I desperately need to play. We have to play this next year.
I would love to know if this would end up in a different category once we eventually play it. So I've got the Rockstar's The Warriors, which again, like I still find it so funny when Rockstar were fun because they did like table tennis and they thought, oh, let's just pull a game from a movie from what was it, the 70s and make
I think so.
And just make a modern video game out of it. My memory of this game is, and the reason I picked it for gameplay, is that my memory of the game is the combat mechanics in this game were incredibly fun and rewarding. It felt weighty and violent in a way that sort of contrasted with the weird. So I feel like movies from that era, and I remember watching Predator 2 last year thinking, oh, it sort of slips into one of these things. They do two things. One, the fighting is very stage like, and it's like they're almost sort of choreographed.
Yeah.
Which
very West Side Story.
Yeah, and the costume design is extremely stage orientated as well. And bad guys look like cartoon versions of real bad guys. And so the movie's very much like that. Whereas the game absolutely wasn't. Obviously, it's got the visuals from the movie, but the combat is in my memory absolutely excellent. Did you ever play the? Kelsey's just bought this game, I think, for Steam. The Watchmen. Did you ever play the video game?
Oh no,
Watchmen?
I didn't.
So I remember playing the Watchmen
361.
Yes, and the combat was almost identical to the Warriors, which I thought was really interesting. It's just it's a lot of sort of hard punching, mixed in with like bashing people's heads off walls and things like that, and it's really good. And also they did a good job of moving you through the levels. And I remember that my first experience of the Warriors was through the video game, and you sort of go into the gang. You basically go through different gang territories as you're moving back towards your own turf, and you end up in the territory of, it's like the baseball kids, the kids, and they've got like face paint and baseball uniforms on, and they all run about with baseball bats. I remember, and you've got to run away from them, and I remember being terrified. They just are these things that come out, and you're like, these guys are. I am not messing with them, and you just find yourself running away. Loved it. Would love to know how it holds up, and I think we're going to have to figure that out at some point.
Yeah, like I can see from footage of it and stuff that it clearly does have very solid mechanics, and I've been struggling to think while you've been talking of a 3D beat 'em up, like a straight beat 'em up, that probably is better than this. The only thing I can think of that might come close to it is Sifu. I can't think of anything else.
Yeah,
there's not a lot of them.
No.
Even Streets of Rage has never tried it. Your final fights or whatever, they don't dare do it. There's one on the original Xbox that I've also got called Strikeout Battle Street, which is like a Sega trying to do a 3D beat 'em up in the Streets of Rage style, but it's not part of that series. And there was also one, is it like, it's not Fighting Force or Freedom Fight? What the fuck was it called? There was one on the PS1. Was it Fighting Force?
But, I mean, I think there is a game called Fighting Force.
Yeah, it's Fighting Force. Yeah. That one I'd be interested to try as well.
Yeah, this looks really funny. There's a massive wide guy called Smasher by the looks of it.
Which one are you looking at? Fighting Force?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's not many more other than that I can really think
that's
of.
a good shout.
I think the Warriors has probably got the shout for being the best 3D beat 'em up ever made.
You might be right.
Yeah. But we'll find out maybe next year.
Is it a PS2 game or maybe a Dreamcast game that's set in a mall and you go around like beating people up? And is it basically, do you know what just cause riots? Is it? Do you know what game I'm talking about?
No.
Dreamcast beat. It might not even be a Dreamcast game.
Oh, obviously we've got Die Hard Arcade as well. That's kind of a 3D beat 'em up, I suppose.
Could be.
Yeah, Xbox. It is.
Xbox.
I mean, you could argue the Yakuza games too, but they have so many other elements to it. They're not pure beat 'em ups, but they are. That is the combat in them.
Yeah. Come on, Google AI, do me a solid for once. Nah, it's not gonna. I'm gonna have to just text you it one day.
If you can get it before I publish the episode, I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah. Right, let's move on.
My best gameplay, I believe, is also going to come up later on. Oh, for a totally different reason, so we don't have to talk about that one. We can talk about that one twice, I guess, to some extent.
Yes.
It's Bloodborne, a game that famously, I must have mentioned this on the podcast before, I hated when I first got it. It was too hard. I didn't understand why I was getting killed so easily, and I felt incorrectly that it was that the game was like janky and the controls were stupid, and traded it in. Saw Game Grumps playing Dark Souls 3. Thought that looked amazing. Thought I'd have to go back to FromSoft and try it again. Tried it again. Loved it. Thought, right, Bloodborne. It's time for that now. And obviously, I'd always want to go back to Bloodborne for the reason David's going to talk about when in the category it comes up in later. But having played it and having played almost all the From Software games now, at least the Souls likes, this has the best gameplay in all of them by such a long way, and a large part of that is the transposing of a parry mechanic to a massive fucking gun that you shoot dudes with. That is the only time I've ever managed to get a parry mechanic down, I think, in a Souls game. It's so, I nearly said visceral then, but it really is, like, because of the amount of viscera in this game. You are covered in this stuff. The weapons that you can change, they have two forms, all of them. They added so many great ones in the DLC as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of them was like a massive spinning spiked
spinning
wheel
thing?
Yeah, I loved that weapon. There's the cane thing. It's like a staff it's like a cane, isn't it? But it also changes into like a whip.
Yeah,
if I remember rightly.
Mm-hmm.
There's that one that's like it turns into a massive hammer out of absolutely, like, when you change it, like an enormous hammer.
The one I played mostly was like small sword into big sword, and I just basically stuck to big sword and just belted people around the head with it.
Yeah. The character customization is brilliant, but I think the fundamental gameplay of this, once you get it down, I don't feel like the game is as harsh as some of the other ones are either. The bosses are fucking really difficult, but if you co-op them, they're not too bad. But I managed to solo almost every boss in this game up to Orphan of Kos, which is the final boss of the DLC, the final DLC. So feels to me like that deserves to be the best gameplay in a FromSoft game, from my opinion, because I was able to master it the most, which is slightly selfish reason, but I don't care. It's the most fun, and of course it has the mechanic where it rewards aggression. by letting you regenerate some of your health that you've lost. If you do it quickly enough, if you counter attack quickly enough and aggressively enough, you can win back some health after taking damage, which is just a great mechanic that truly rewards, aggression full
Was
on.
this the
I love it.
game that had the ring that if you took damage, if you were super aggressive and did damage back, you got a lot of your health back?
Oh, I think that was maybe Elden Ring where they put that in as like a nod to it, but you could be right. I can't really remember. This was more of a like it's just from the start, isn't it? Like you had sort of like your health bar was red and it would go down and there'd be a grey bit, and if you that's the bit you can win back by
Yeah, maybe that was
attacking
it.
again.
And I think so that's I knew there was some sort of thing in my memory for that. So I found a ring in Dark Souls 3 that allowed me to turn it into Bloodborne. And then I was like,
Yes.
oh yes, okay, let's go.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I'm craving. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think this is a great choice. I think there's a couple of obvious places for this game to slot in, and best gameplay is certainly one of them. It remains the only Souls game that I've ever platinumed.
I'm endlessly jealous of that, and I will never ever replicate it
do you know
because of
what?
the way you have to do it.
It sort of builds on the gameplay stuff. Obviously, this game's going to come up again later, so I'll just pick one thing. But one thing that sort of I enjoy about the gameplay is that the type of fan that this game cultivates in its most positive form, because obviously, like everything with the gaming industry, there's a toxic side of it. But in its most positive form, it creates a community of people that are just like savagely want to tear a game apart and just understand everything it has to offer. It'll fill like Reddit message boards with people just discussing different things, different builds, giving each other tips and tricks. Whenever I stream a game, guarantee if I stream Bloodborne or a Souls game or a Resident Evil game, some random people will just start dropping into the chat and just chatting to you about whatever game you're playing because they're just so interested in the game itself. They'll chat to you, and they're very well, not never, but they're rarely obtrusive. They'll just sit and give you tips. They'll offer to jump in. If you say no thank you, they'll happily just sit and watch and talk you through it. If they like sit and watch you play the same boss over and over again, dying over and over again, and just like give you little tips and little bits of motivation to try and keep you going. And yeah, I've never seen a series that does it like this. And for me, Bloodborne is the best of those. And yeah, it's a shame that it seems to be stuck on one platform at the moment.
And at 30 FPS, best gameplay, and it's not even 60 frames.
Yeah,
says a lot right there.
My winner is one game that 5 years ago I never would have thought I would put one of these games into my best gameplay list. But really, like, where else is other than best game? Where else can it really go? Like, it's not for me. You play it's Resident Evil 4, by the way. And again, we'll come back to it, so we can keep this one. I can keep this.
Certainly isn't going in worst aging.
No,
or biggest disappointment.
So I just love everything about this game in terms of it from a gameplay perspective. It creates action, a sense of tension, fear at times, and it even does things like creating a game out of using your inventory management system properly. I like everything this game does from a gameplay perspective. I don't think I'd change anything.
Yeah, you're right. There's even great gameplay in the inventory management.
Yes.
I love that part of it too.
I even like that it's one of the things that I think that great games done well do, and that you obviously like people play it through once and then you're incentivized to go back and play it again because there's ways that you can manipulate different things. And like, for example, when you run in, you like people figure out that if you just don't touch the shotgun, for example, in the first town, the main danger won't come out at you, and you can actually cut that area down really quickly and really short. If you play it properly, whereas the first time I remember being genuinely terrified running around that town. Arguably, this is where sort of I don't know, I'm speaking to the expert here, but for me, Resident Evil sort of catapulted itself from being like a great but niche series into something that was truly special. And I feel like to an extent, maybe less so in the modern ones, but to an extent, Resident Evil then spent the next 10 years chasing after the high of this game. perhaps missing the point in some way of what made it special in pursuit of Resi 6. But yeah, I enjoyed every single moment of Resident Evil 4 when we played this year, and I think, I don't know, I put this in gameplay and thought for a moment, should it be going in gameplay? Is that controversial? But the more I think about it, the more I'm fairly certain that that's where it belongs for me.
Yeah, I mean, partly due to the lasting effect that it's had on games. We've said it on the podcast when we talked about this. There's no Gears of War without Resident Evil 4. They've been very open at Epic about that. And it was such a departure from how, well, not only how historically Resident Evil had played, but also how this version, this very game initially played. They completely ripped the original version up and redid it with this over-the-shoulder camera. And it has been copied by third-person action shooters ever since. Genuinely revolutionary and just mind-blowing how different it was from every Resi that had come before it, but how it still felt kind of inherently Resident Evil at the same time before it went a bit too far the other way. But we'll talk more about this later on.
We will. Best multiplayer.
Best multiplayer. My honourable mention is Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Great shout.
A game I never actually played online. I didn't have Xbox Online.
The 05 one, because there is a Battlefront game that came out in 15. I just wanted to make.
Oh, is there? Yeah. Good God. No, fuck that one. No, yeah, this is the classic on the original Xbox is where I played it. Without Xbox Live, as I said, but my friends Simon and Chris would come over and we would. I think you could do 3-player on that, but if you couldn't, we definitely would take it in turns anyway. I swear there was times when I'd played this game more than they had, so it was just me versus the two of them. But these massive army battles where you're taking over loads and loads of stormtroopers or whatever, or rebel fighters, and then I assume it's based on how well you've done, or as a reward for being absolutely battered by the other player, that you get to take over like a Jedi Master character, or like a big presence, a main character in the Star Wars universe. And just it felt like the Jedi mechanics at the time were the best we'd ever seen. I've not actually played Jedi Knight, which I know people do like quite a lot, but we had so many great times playing this against each other, doing it co-op, where you could do the galactic conquest thing, where you'd go from planet to planet, doing like each of the maps with a friend or against a friend. They could take over the enemies as well. Really, really great fun. I know people have come back round on the 2015 one nowadays. I don't care about that. The original is such a shame they fucked up that remaster of it, because I was so up for playing that, but it was just such a disastrous launch. It could have gone in worse aging than a technicality, I suppose. But back when this was out in 05 on the original Xbox, and I was still quite into Star Wars at that point because it hadn't been totally desecrated at that stage. I loved Star Wars and I loved this game, and I played it endlessly with my friends. It's such a great multiplayer game.
Yeah,
they don't make those kind of things anymore.
I have played this game, but I only ever played it on my own. So I haven't played a massive amount of it. But yeah, I can totally see everything you're saying. And it's just, I don't know, it's a bit I'm disappointed with what this game became, because it just became another first-person shooter online game eventually. But yeah, this one is. It was just something that people weren't doing at that time, I guess. Everyone was playing Halo, and this came along and was a really good, mostly third-person shooter, right?
Yeah, if you chose it, yeah.
My pick. Again, I wondered if this was controversial, but I think for me, the multiplayer aspect was key to what made this game awesome, was Super Mario Maker. I absolutely loved. My favorite thing about this was making levels and then sort of having other people try and complete them, and then vice versa, completing friends' levels and things like that. And I even loved the sort of odd Twitch community. It's not odd, but like sort of Twitch community that popped up around it. I remember there was a period of months where different people in the games industry that I liked, like Patrick Klepek, and he now is one of the Dan Reichert. Used to play. Dan Reichert would make these like villainous levels that you like, and then people would try and complete them, and it was just really entertaining watching Patrick Klepek sit for an hour trying to complete this level and failing over and over again, getting almost to the end and then getting caught out by something really shitty that Dan had done. And it was just, yeah, I just loved doing that. And then like going and trying the levels myself, because you could do that, obviously. And then just, there was even like a random pick. You could just like log on and play random levels that seemed to be popular and do different things. Some of them would do things like make music as you ran through the level and make you go on different things. And it created I'm not normally into make your own level games. For the most part, I'm just like, I want to play a game. I want to play the level that you're making for me to play, not sit and make my own levels. But for some reason, this one really worked for me. Apart from the tall, skinny Mario, who was absolutely made a nightmare fuel.
yeah, we definitely made some levels for each other. I remember that, and remember seeing you like the beauty of the Wii U and its controller, where you could have all the messages on the gamepad while you're playing it up on the screen, and just seeing like you'd left messages for certain nasty parts of my levels, or when you got to the end, you'd leave a comment saying that you'd done it. Really, just a really brilliant community-based idea from Nintendo, a company that consistently really don't understand online gaming at all, and somehow managed to make this like not quite fully online, but like sharing community backed up by Miiverse. It was just like a perfect culmination of all the things that the Wii U had about it that was not taken advantage of by anything else, to the extent that games like Mario Maker and things, I guess like Splatoon maybe did. It's just glorious. And the sequel was nowhere near as much of a hit. It wasn't quite as fun. The best thing about the sequel was they put worlds in it, and then you could download people would make like entire Mario games themselves that were really, really cool to download. But the lack of the gamepad on the Switch version just really killed it.
Because I remember there was a lot of discussion when Mario Maker came out. It's like, oh, look, this is like a whole new genre that Nintendo have created. I want to see like a Zelda Maker, and they were like Donkey Kong Maker and going through all the different stuff. Probably not Donkey Kong Maker, because that was owned by. Is that no? It's Donkey. Who owns Donkey Kong these days? Rare's owned by Microsoft. Nintendo owned Donkey Kong.
Yeah. It's Banjo that Rare took with them.
That's right. But then Mario Maker 2 came out, and that all just sort of fell flat on its face, to the point that I don't think we'll see. We might not see another Mario Maker. We certainly won't see like Zelda Maker and stuff like that. Yeah, it's
probably
such
not.
An odd time and place game that was uniquely good on that particular console. And I guess it had probably had to be on that console. You're right. We are using the gamepad as your creation tool, made it special in a way that just sort of added a layer of clunkiness to the Switch version, perhaps. Not sure.
Yeah, just far less intuitive. You still had the touchscreen controls on the Switch version, but you didn't have a TV displaying it in front of you. You had to just kind of look beyond your own fingers, which just didn't really work. The Games Done Quick organization that do all the speedrun tournaments twice a year, they have some, I think they still do them, but they definitely around the time had some incredible Mario Maker races where they would create specific courses for the speedrunning event and have the world's best Mario speedrunners doing like team-based battles. So you'd have two teams of like incredible speedrunners trying out a level that they'd never seen before that was like brutally difficult. It's incredible to watch, like so fun. The crowd ate that shit up. They loved it. So yeah, it's a really cool invention. I'm so glad it exists.
Yeah. What's your winner, Alex?
Good old bloody Worms.
This game is probably just as good as it ever was. Special multiplayer, so good. And it's even like I remember playing a lot of the Xbox 360 arcade version of Worms.
Oh, that online was amazing.
Yeah, other than the visuals, which is obviously had a visual upgrade, the gameplay was exactly the same as the 95 PlayStation version.
Yep, exactly the same.
Would it have been PlayStation?
Because in 95, I'm not entirely sure. It was definitely on Amiga in 95.
Yeah, I'm wondering.
Which is where I initially played it, but I did get it on PlayStation as well.
Oh, it did come out in 95. Yeah, okay. I was right.
Naming all the Worms after like Tottenham players. was great fun. Like Darren Anderton. Oh, he's got a bazooka. Darren Anderton's got a bazooka. Watch out, generic Arsenal 95 player. I don't know. Lee Dixon. Yeah, it was just great to get your mates around. You can be so evil in this game.
Yeah.
Or you can be utter horseshit, and it's hilarious.
And there
Because
was
you'll just keep firing bazookas off into the sea or throwing grenades at yourself.
One player that wasn't very good, turtling up in a hole, hoping to survive.
Yeah, which they probably made by accident when they, actually threw a cluster bomb and it bounced back and then made a pit for them to sit in.
I think
you're drilling through the walls or swinging on ropes and building like what they called like girders and stuff. It's so clever, so quintessentially British as well.
A lot of classic multiplayer games that have got legs, certainly in like couch co-op, have this ability to reward skillful gameplay, but also unleash utter chaos out of nowhere on the screen. And Worms is up there with some of the best at being able to do that. Like sometimes you might throw a grenade or one of those cluster bombs thinking it's going to do something, and it might do what you wanted it to do, but then it just unleashes holy hell on the screen, and you might end up blowing yourself up. You might end up blowing some of your teammates into the water at the same time when you're just trying to do one thing. And there became a real art to be able to throw a grenade, I remember, in Worms. And yeah, I love this game. It looks great. You're right, quintessentially British. Then they went 3D with it, which was a shame.
Yeah. The one of the coolest things about Worms is that like a lot of multiplayer games you're going to play, in fact, almost every single multiplayer game you're going to play is you're going to be like up against somebody, and everything that they're doing is either going to be like instinctive or reactive, or it's going to be internalized, and they're going to have a plan and they're going to execute it, and you're going to see the execution of that plan. In Worms, you see the plan because you can sit there on, next to your mate on the same TV and watch them cycle through their weapons and be like, don't use an airstrike, don't use an airstrike. And you can sit and you're powerless to do anything about it. And your mate sat there cackling away as he's planning this brilliant bazooka shot from the other side of the thing. And you just sit and cross your fingers and hope it doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, it's hilarious. And if it does, it's just, it's the way you can torture your friends who are watching you unleash these schemes, but seeing every step of it is genius.
It's currently being added to my wish list in Steam because it's $4.99 on.
Does it have online? Please find one that has online and let's play some Worms.
Yes.
Over Christmas, because what a time we will have.
Yeah, let's investigate this.
We'll find that out. Yeah. Oh, that would be brilliant. And you know what? Your game as well. I didn't buy the one on PlayStation yet, but of the third one. But we need to buy that and play that over Christmas as well, if you haven't already. I'm pretty sure you may have done it when we last talked, but that is, of course,
Tekken 2.
Your yes.
My 95 best multiplayer game. I've recently fallen in love with the Tekken games and absolutely adore them. I've been sort of plodding away at them slowly. Whenever I don't get to come up in my office so much anymore for the moment, but I've got less time in front of the screen where I would be getting to play more of them. But the Tekken 2 is an awesome game. It makes 3D fighting fun. The characters in the game are great, and the thing that I'm sort of slowly noticing, and this may be true of other fighting games, so forgive me, but the thing I'm noticing with Tekken is that I find that the characters each have their own distinct play styles, which makes for fun and engaging play in a way that I just don't remember. I don't remember Mortal Kombat. So my other sort of the one I'm pulling this, because again I don't know much about fighting games, is Mortal Kombat, and in my mind, like Mortal Kombat, they all kind of were the same. Whereas this one, you play very differently with different players, and it just makes
it's not just
really...
that button combo does something different for this guy. It's like some of them can be fundamentally different the way you have to input the controls the combos.
I've also got such a soft spot for this era of fighting games and how they look. I just think they look lovely, like that sort of triangularly polygonal blockiness. I don't know why. I just find it comforting. And yeah, Tekken 2 is just a great fighting game for me. I mean, I don't have a huge amount to say beyond that because I don't know enough about fighting games other than I'm having fun with it. And as a multiplayer game, when you come up against someone that is of equal skill level to you, fighting games are so fun and so clutch.
Yes.
You get moments that I think maybe unlike any other video game genre can do, in that there's these just like tight moments that just make for drama. It's great.
It's funny. It's funny you say that because, of course, well, I don't know how famously anymore because it's quite old these days, but the incredible way that a domestic argument was played out in parallel to a game of Tekken in the TV show Spaced, which I will, until the day I die, maintain Spaced is the perfect television show. The way Tim and Daisy have their argument while clips of Tekken fighters are showing Tim's fighter Paul winning versus Daisy's fighter Nina then having a comeback and beating him instead while they have this argument. Absolute perfection. So the drama is enhanced and immortalized in that TV show. You have to watch that. I'll send you. I'll find a link to it.
The only other thing I kind of want to say as well is, like, given the age, what about I would have been like 7 or 8 when this game came out, and that the selection of characters really speaks well to a young audience. In that, like, there's like, I don't know, like the tiger head dude. There's like dinosaurs. There's just like metal silver guys, and then there's just random people, and obviously the women don't wear very much clothing, which is quite exciting for a young kid. Yeah, it's just, I just like sort of the breadth of characters is also very good. But other fighting games did that as well. I remember Killer Instinct being similar in scope.
Oh, that is fucking so difficult. I remember I played that against my cousin once, and he was like it was like
Rain Man.
Like yeah, it was like a whirlwind. I just had absolutely no way to counter anything. He just knew all the combos, but I feel like Tekken's not quite like that. It's more, it can be fairer than just one person completely annihilating the other.
Probably. We're moving on to best sports racing.
Yeah.
Sports / racing.
Yes. So initially, before one of the years must have got too many games in it, my honorable mention of Rocket League was your actual winner, I believe.
I had it as my winner, and then I just didn't have a space because that would be 2015. I think I just couldn't find a space for it.
Mm-hmm.
So as a runner up for this genre, I've gone Forza Motorsport, which actually did sit in the winners slot for a little while as well, until it got subbed out. So Forza Motorsport, it's just a great game. It's the game that started it. There was a period of time where if you had asked me, and I think I would broadly still agree with this. I think I've always been a bigger fan of the Forza Motorsport games than I have been the Gran Turismo games, and it's sort of been my serious, in quotation marks, go-to racing game over the years. And this is the one that started it all. It's great. I remember watching coverage in the run-up.
I totally forgot that this was on the original Xbox.
Yeah.
And it's that old.
Yeah. It's old now.
Mm-hmm.
I remember this game blew my mind because I remember reading an article about it that said that tire pressure when you're going around corners mattered, and that just blew my mind. I was like, oh my god, games are entering a new age. I'm not actually sure how that ended up working out, but yeah, it's just a cool game, man. It is Xbox's answer to Gran Turismo, and I loved it.
Yeah, and I think everybody loved Rocket League until the people who really loved it got really good and made it not fun anymore. When they were juggling it in the air while flying around, but when it first kicked off, we had some great fun.
You and I never got into juggling. But
no.
we enjoyed it right up to the point that we were sort of butting up against people that could. And that's when I don't know, it just became a game that you'd have to play full time to get good at, and we just didn't. We don't play games that way. But it's such a cool game that still has a vibrant community today. What a success!
Peter still plays it all the time with his mates.
What a success story that game is.
Yeah, probably one of the all-time greatest uses of being a PlayStation Plus free game. completely elevated it so that your immediate competition and player base is everybody who has a PlayStation at that point that has an online sub. Back when they were still kind of a reasonable price. Just such clever marketing, and it was a revelation at the time. Like, you know, people, even probably us, were saying it's the best football game of the year.
Yeah.
Like, better than actual football games.
And now it's rematched.
And now it's rematch, which again probably is not fun anymore, because if I went back, I imagine everyone will be elite and I won't be
don't
anymore.
have any idea what's happening.
Either that or they're still not passing the ball to me. So, you know,
what was
at least in Rocket League, I can just run them over.
Rocket League was a sort of spiritual successor / reimagining of another.
I don't
game,
even remember the name of that fucking title.
It's meant to be supercalifragilistic, but it's like rockets and cars.
Yeah, something robot battle cars or something, isn't it? A rocket battle car. I don't remember now.
Anyway, yeah, Rocket League's great. Was and is great, and still alive, which I think for an online game 10 years later is impressive.
Yeah, I also thought it was a great pick for a sports / racing category, because it's kind of both sports and racing in one.
Yeah, absolutely. My winner for this, I've gone for
that was a consideration for me as well. Your one.
I'm glad, because I was thinking this is perhaps, I feel like I'm cheating, but I've gone for NHL 96, which came out in 1995. Obviously, the reason I picked this is this era, and I think this is the one I used to play the most of. This is an era when sports games were entering their arcadey best. And this is, I think NHL 94 is the one that people remember a lot.
I thought I had 96 on the Sega CD, but it's 94 that I have. Mega CD, sorry.
But I think 96 is just as good in my mind. There might be people that disagree, but this is the one that I had access to. This is the one that I played. And I think I've said this before, my sort of gateway drug to American sports was always the video games. And I remember just playing entire seasons of this game, one after the other, as the Mighty Ducks or the Detroit Red Wings, and just loving it. It's a great sports game. It's a great arcade game. It's back when sports games were simple and just made to be fun, rather than trying to just look like the real life counterparts at the expense of fun.
And EA knows it, because that's why they did that demake of NHL, the NHL sort of 94 demake a few years ago. And it's why they have the NHL 94 control system, I'm pretty sure, to this day in all the NHL games as well.
I might have to go and
check there was always like a control scheme you could have, and it would be like NHL 94 controls or 96 controls or whatever. Those games are difficult, but they are pioneers of hockey gaming and sports gaming in general. The level of detail and the way that it felt fluid and fun, but also kind of respective of the sport that it was.
Yeah.
Probably a better representation of American sports than anything else had been at that point. I know we had NBA Jam, but that was very much an arcade thing, and Madden was fine, but it just didn't feel quite as purely American football as NHL does in terms of being a pure hockey game. It's really, really fucking awesome. And my winner is Mario Kart DS, still amongst my favorite Mario Karts of all time. I considered it for best multiplayer for a few seconds, thinking of how it had online multiplayer for the first time in the Mario Kart series, and then remembered how everybody was just snaking side to side to get the unlimited boosts, and it ruined it. So that was that out. But outside of the way you can easily manipulate and break the game, Mario Kart DS was phenomenal. It looked great on the DS. As I said, it had online multiplayer, even though you had to buy a bloody dongle and stick it in your PC or something to output or pick up a Wi-Fi signal.
Is that
really weird way of doing it?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Really, really great. Some of the best courses that the series has ever seen. And it had jumping back in it again, because I know everybody who is an idiot thought that jumping being taken out was some sort of sacrilegious affront to their very personality, but Double Dash is amazing without jumping, so it doesn't need it. But they put jumping back in for everybody who wanted it in Mario Kart DS, so it felt more of a purist's game, a more back to basics approach than Double Dash was, with the dual carts and the swapping around and all that kind of stuff, even though it's goated. But this is up there. You're talking, for me, 8 Deluxe, DS, Double Dash. That's the holy trinity of Mario Kart games. I don't need to tell people listening what Mario Kart is. I just think DS holds up better than pretty much any of the old ones outside of the GameCube one. It's great. I played so much of this game.
I agree with all that. I don't have much to add. This game sherped me down on an overnight train to London from Aberdeen.
Yes.
I think I say that every time this game comes up. And yeah, it's a lovely old time. Like you say, it's one of the best Mario Kart games to this day.
Yeah, it is.
What's
Best console exclusive.
I've got
you made a late change to this. Yeah,
a late change to this. I've gone Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest. Did I get that right? I
Correct.
feel like I used to always get that wrong when we were podcasting about this. It's a lovely game.
It's the one and only time Danny O'Dwyer has responded to one of my tweets to him when I told him that he'd called it Diddy Kong's Quest by accident.
Yes.
And he responded to me, and I was like, "Oh, I've spoken to Danny O'Dwyer."
Yeah, it's a great game. The Donkey Kong Country games, certainly the first two, are amazing. They're full of character. They look lovely. Even to this day, they take what the SNES was doing, and just create a lovely atmosphere. They are brutally difficult. I remember them being a kid and thinking they weren't what they were, but they're really hard. And this one just adds different moves, makes Diddy's sister or cousin?
Oh yeah, I don't actually know. Dixie anyway, but yeah, I don't know what relation she is. That's a good point.
But yeah,
she his girlfriend?
Don't know. They just sort of failed. Obviously, what was one of the many fun things that was good about Donkey Kong Country was that Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong played very differently. So you depended on what you were wanting to do in your play style, you could sort of react to different situations in different ways. And this one just sort of added to that by making Dixie Kong. She could fly with her hair, right? She could hover and cover bigger distances than the other ones. Just added another dynamic to an already cool game. Took everything that Donkey Kong Country did and just added more on top of that. So yeah, it's a cool SNES game.
Incredible soundtrack too. One of the best on the entire SNES.
Picks up right after the first game, which I think is unusual as well.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, you're right. You're still on the boat, aren't you, with K. Rool there? Yeah, right after you've beaten him in the first game. Episode 57 of this podcast is where you want to head if you want to hear more about Donkey Kong Country 2.
Especially when the game's more fresh in our mind.
Yeah,
it currently is for me.
But yeah, I could play this game over and over again, that's for sure. And still at that point, we are in 95 by this point, so certain parts of the world have a PlayStation in existence. But this was the best thing looks-wise you were going to get on anything 16-bit at that point. Well, maybe some purists would say perhaps some of the sprite work in something like what's going to come up in my best visuals one on the next one, or something on the Neo Geo. But in terms of boundary pushing technology to make 3D sprites, this was pretty fucking impressive for a SNES to pull out Donkey Kong Country style stuff. My honorable mention is, for me, the best Castlevania game after Symphony of the Night. It is Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow, a game until this year or last year was still exclusive to the DS, had never been ported anywhere until the Dominus collection came out. It is sort of the sequel to Aria of Sorrow, which is, I believe, the last one that came out on the Game Boy Advance. It takes us back to Dracula's Castle. The subsequent DS games would take us away from that to different areas and they mix the gameplay up a little bit as well. Certainly things like Portrait of Ruin, where you're jumping into painting worlds, and Order of Ecclesia, which is all to do with books and weird shit. They're both great games too, and they would be good console exclusives if this wasn't 2005 I was talking about. But yeah, it's everything that's great about Symphony of the Night was just as great in Dawn of Sorrow. It's just slightly less iconic for some reason. But if we go back to Metroidvania at any point, and you've got I'm pretty sure you've got the Dominus connection now. Dominus Connection, collection. I said connection so many times, it's mental. The Dominus Collection. I'm pretty sure you may have got that. I don't know if 100% if you did.
Unsure. Maybe.
When
It'll be
did
somewhere.
when did it come out? Oh yeah, like last summer.
Okay.
But that has all 3DS games. It is so worth a Steam Deck purchase, that's for sure.
I wonder. What have I got? Castle. Oh, the only one in Steam I've got is Lords of Shadow. I may have it on something else, though. I may have bought it on Xbox.
Oh, okay. Well, it's on. Let's just check Steam. Let's see if it's Steam Deck compatible. Where do you even see that these days? Steam Deck compatibility, playable.
Usually on the right, yeah.
This game sometimes shows mouse, keyboard, or non-Steam Deck controller icons. Well, if that's the worst
fine.
that you get.
Yeah.
It's 11 quid on loaded.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
In a sale, but yeah, definitely get it on a handheld device. Do not play it on anything on a big screen. It's just what a waste of time. Yeah, brilliant though. Really, like an incredible Castlevania game. As I said, the second best one for me. We had the same winner.
Yes. Shadow of the Colossus.
I'll let you start.
Shadow of the Colossus. We spoke about this again recently on a podcast.
We did, yeah, because I played the remake when I was off works with a bad back.
I need to go back and maybe I don't, but thinking back to Shadow of the Colossus makes me want to go and play The Last Guardian, and maybe I'll enjoy it. Maybe. But yeah, we're not talking about that. We're calling it Shadow of the Colossus. This is a game that again, working within its confines of power or lack thereof, it manages to look amazing. It's incredibly atmospheric, it's haunting, and it creates a bunch of bosses that are uniquely memorable almost to a boss. It's interesting because you have to approach each boss differently. Sometimes got to think about the way you approach them versus how you react to them in the game. And you've played this more recently, so you'll be able to talk.
Yeah, I played it in advance
this.
of our top 10 PS2 games. So that's like 2 episodes ago. If anyone wants to hear like a longer discussion about it, but yeah, the variety of bosses and the different mechanics and puzzles you have to work out as you get to each one of them, and then how harrowing and sad it is to take them all down before the inevitable twist ending occurs where you effectively become the bad guy, and maybe you were all along. This was a very strong consideration for me in the best visuals category. To look as good as this did on the PS2, yes, in an era where the PS2 was in its last year. So maybe that speaks to the time they had to create something as gorgeous as this, but it had no right to look this good on a PS2. And it's one of those late game PlayStation exclusives that, I mean, the PS2 didn't need saving like the PS3 did. The PS3 came out right at the end and had Last of Us, which was, very kind of similar to this, and it was just like something no one had ever seen anything like it before, and such a striking, thought-provoking, and harrowing adventure. Really, really special game. I think I said it on our top 10 PS2 games that I don't necessarily just think it's one of the best PS2 games. I think this might actually be one of the best games ever made. There is nothing else like it. It is truly, truly special.
It's a shame that
what a get for PlayStation.
It's a shame that this company can't seem to get games out at a more regular clip.
Lazy.
Because is it just 3? So Ico, Shadow of the Colossus, and The Last Guardian. Have they done anything since The Last Guardian?
No. What's his new one? He's got a new one. Cool. He's not got a new one announced, doesn't he? New game from Eco Guy. Ueda, that's his name. Project Robot is his new game. It was revealed last year at the Game Awards.
So we'll
A
see
giant
that in 10
mech
years.
piloting adventure, and it's published by Epic Games.
Oh, that's unusual. I wasn't
No,
expecting it to be Epic Games.
hasn't even got an official name, so that's not coming out for a long time.
No. But yeah, great game. Great choice. Hard to argue with that one.
Yeah, which is why we didn't. It's the same for both of us.
Let's move on to best visuals.
Yeah,
I love your honorable mention because I think that again, like going back to my NHL '96, it sort of evokes the same, just pure fun, and I love the visuals, and again, like with Tekken 2, just love that era of how games looked in sports and fighting games and stuff like that.
Yeah. Sega Rally Championship is my honorable mention, and it's a game that I incorrectly on the console rankings episode when we were apparently upsetting a lot of people talking bad about the Saturn, which is very far from how I feel. It just isn't as good as the Wii U. But I think I said that this was a really bad port, and I got it mixed up with Daytona USA, which again was a very good port, but it was a good port relative to what it was being ported to, because there's a big difference between the Saturn version of Daytona and the arcade version, especially with the pop-up, which is just like disgusting on the Saturn for Daytona. Not so with Sega Rally Championship, which, as David said, has a really cool kind of square, jaggedy, boxy look to it as the cars are flying around these courses.
Is it the second one we played in arcade in Doncaster recently? Was it Sega Rally 2, or were we playing the first one?
Yes, it was. It was the second one, yeah. I thought that looked fucking horrible when we played that. Like, I was surprised how...
Oh, really?
That seemed as if the arcade version had no anti-aliasing whatsoever.
No, I certainly didn't.
It was so jagged. I just thought, I can't believe that this isn't smoother than I expected. I swear the Dreamcast version looks better than that. But that is the point I'm going to make here, is that I put this as an honorable mention for best visuals because they brought this to a home console on the Saturn, and it basically almost dropped nothing in transition from one platform to another. It's an unbelievably amazing home port on the Saturn, purely because, no one makes games for a console better than the console manufacturer. And if you're building a console around the arcade hardware that runs Sega Rally Championship, you should be able to make a good home port, and they really, really did. And it just looks, it's just a phenomenal achievement for that console. Looks great. And of course, it is great. I love Sega Rally. Even the one that came out on 360 is brilliant. And that one in 2006 that only was in Japan that recently got fan translated and it works on PCSX2. Get that in you, boys.
Is it?
Yeah, it's got a full-on like proper story mode and everything.
Oh, brilliant.
It's fucking awesome.
Brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant. Oh, yours is, why didn't I even think of it? I don't even know why this didn't come up when I was looking.
I've gone with Ori and the Blind Forest, and that's
stunning.
I remember that subsequently, obviously after 2015 came out on Steam Deck, and I would say if you've got one of those, that's the place to play it with the nice OLED screen. It just pops.
Oh yeah,
in a way that's stunning. I've put there's a melancholy to my selection of Ori and the Blind Forest because I think it's a truly stunning game. One of the nicest visuals. One of those beautiful games perhaps I've ever seen. I don't think that's hyperbolic. It's just not that. For some reason, I just find it quite boring to play. And I don't know why, because it controls well. I know we're talking about visuals here, but it controls well. It looks amazing. And it sort of popped onto my radar properly at a time that you and I were playing Castlevania games. And I was like, oh, Symphony of the Night's one of my favorite games now. Maybe I like Metroidvanias, and then we played the spiritual successor to that. What was it called?
Shadow Complex.
That's not the one I had in my head, but the one that you selected.
Yeah, that's nothing to do with a spiritual successor at all. What am I on about?
The guy.
Bloodstained. Yes,
thank you.
Yeah,
and I was like, I love this as well. Shadow Complex sort of dented that armor a little bit because like, oh, this isn't that fun either. But I remember going back to that or in the Blind Forest thinking, oh, I think I'm in the right headspace to play it. And for some reason, I got a few hours in and just drifted away because it just didn't grab me. But one thing that does grab me is the way the game looks. It's amazing.
It's like, it's almost like a watercolor painting, isn't it? It's very funny, of course, that it's was it technically try to be sold off as like an indie game, even though it was like published by Microsoft Game Studios and stuff. It's kind of like you threw millions at this, and it looks $1 million because that's what it is. But yeah, you're right. There is just something. I don't know if it's the overemphasis on the combat. It's quite difficult as well, like fiendishly, deceptively difficult because it looks so pretty and nice and wholesome, and then it's just so punishing and bleak at times as well.
Guacamelee did that to me to a lesser extent because it's such a cutesy looking game, and then it just batters you around the head every so often.
Yeah, absolutely. But that game's way more fun than Ori, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure a great honorable mention. My one is a game that I think, again, is another late stage SNES game that probably does look better than Donkey Kong Country 2, purely because it's just of the artistry around it. It's not when it is a technological achievement anyway, because there's technology in sprite work and stuff, but it has a lot of cool mode 7 scaling and rotations in it as well. It's Yoshi's Island, or Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, whatever the fuck the proper name is. What a gorgeous looking game. Speaking of, things that look like paintings, this just looks like some kind of chalk drawing, doesn't it?
It's amazing. I saw you put that in your list, and I was like, oh, that's probably one of the correct answers.
So it's yours though. I nearly put yours as mine.
I don't think I've played more than an hour of this game. I don't
Can't handle the baby crying, huh?
So I just don't think. Yeah, I remember the baby crying upset me. I don't know. I never owned it when it was out. And I think I probably came back to it when it was on the Switch arcade thing.
Oh, yeah.
And because of that, I probably just sort of dabbled with it and then moved on. But you're correct. You're correct. It's beautiful.
I remember I first played Yoshi's Island when a friend of mine gave me his sister's SNES. He said, "Oh, I was going through my sister's old stuff that was in the loft, and there's a SNES box here. It's got no controller and plug or anything, but you can have it if you want." No, it had a plug. That's it. It had a plug and nothing else. So, no, it didn't have a plug. I used the plug from my NES because it had the same connector at the back, and I used the SCART cable from my N64 because they somehow kept the same connector for that,
so
which they would never do.
Yeah, you're right.
The little ridge on the thing. I just bought a SNES controller from eBay, and I was away. I got a free SNES basically. I've still got it to this day.
Fantastic.
And that was as a grown ass man, probably in my early 20s, and I thought, right, I'm finally going to play Yoshi's Island, see what all the fuss was about, and it's quite an early example of like a collectathon, really.
Oh, really?
A lot of the levels, it's quite a languid pace. It's, it's certainly not your frenetic, dangerous platforming the way that a normal Mario game is. It's very much around finding and collecting all the the star coins or the little red coins, sorry, little daisy icons and little stars. It's about 100%ing every single level and finding the secrets that are there, while also trying to keep baby Mario on your back and stop him from crying, which can become incredibly frustrating when he does.
If the DS version of Yoshi's Island is a different game, or if it's a sort of port.
I think it is perhaps slightly different, but I believe it is mostly just a remaster with extra characters thrown in.
Although Switch is probably the best place to play it.
You've definitely got it on your Switch already, yeah, that's for sure. And if not, you can stick it on your Retroid without any problem there.
True. It may already be on there. Who knows? Who knows what's on there?
I think, it's a game you have to lock into. If you pick it up and expect it to be like a Mario game, you're very quickly going to find it's nothing like them. Not even to the extent where, more so than Mario 2 was. But once you kind of get into what the new type of gameplay is and what it's expecting from you, The stuff it pulls in later levels is really clever. Some really cool shit in there. Some of the boss battles are great fun and just visually amazing. The sort of the technological tricks they pull with some of the bosses and stuff is yeah. Nothing else looks as good as that on the SNES as far as I'm concerned. Even the Donkey Kong games, as I said earlier. Just this will hold up forever purely because the artistry, as I said, is so good.
Absolutely. You are correct. My winner, I've gone for Bloodborne, which
I considered
feels
this.
Right. It feels right for this. I just think I like that you've called this best visuals because it allows a bit of inference into this, rather than just what's the prettiest looking game. You can
what's the most photorealistic face or whatever.
Exactly. I just think that I've sort of I've taken visuals as in and wrapped it up within atmosphere that it creates through the visuals.
Yeah.
And I think this is unique in a lot of games. There's not many games that have gone for the Victorian, I don't know, what's the horror Victorian aesthetic.
And if they have, it's because of this.
And if they have, it's because of this, yeah. And also just it's unique within the Souls games. There's nothing else like it. I mean, like everything else, Sekiro sits out on its own probably as well a little bit, but everything else that From have done is much like something else that they've done. So this one is
all Tolkien-esque fantasy.
Yeah, this one is its own thing. Like I said, it's a sort of it's sort of a what's the word, like I keep saying
Steampunk?
horror, steampunk Victorian England, dystopian. That's the word I was trying to think of in my head. It's incredibly eerie and atmospheric, and I think no matter how old this game gets, it's not going to lose any of that. And I think that the game is much better for it. I sometimes wonder about when video game developers choose their sort of artistic direction with the game, and I wonder, would Bloodborne be as effective if it wasn't set how it was set? And I think probably it would certainly lose something. I'm not saying it would become a bad game, but it would certainly lose something. I think what I like about this is that everything feeds into everything else. So the enemies really fit well. Even the sort of big bloated enemies fit really well as you're walking through like the old streets and things like that. And I don't know. I think that. And again, probably because it's the Souls game I've played the most, I can think back to like Gascoigne and things like that, and there's just a griminess to it that is really unlike anything else, and it sort of sticks with me to this day.
Yeah, it can be really claustrophobic at times in the sort of way that Gothic architecture of Arkham Asylum felt that way. And there's just something so appropriate to be walking around that setting with a blunderbuss in your hand.
Yeah.
It's just the perfect weapon for that setting.
Yep.
You can just imagine him having to put that little, those little sticks in that he used to have to do to reload, clean out the gun first and shit.
I know it's quite early on in the game, but I also like my favorite bits is when you come across like carriages that have sort of overturned. And there's just like people walking around with torches around them, and the dogs, man. Yeah, I just think it's so good, everything it does.
And it pulls the big twist halfway through that it's actually like a Lovecraftian thing, and then you're getting all this cosmos laden stuff, and you go to that
aliens,
school. There's all those weird like ghost pupils in there and everything. Incredibly varied. It takes that theme of the Victorian kind of setting and morphs it into all these different kind of horror tropes. It's so amazing in so many ways, and visually is absolutely one of them. I as you said, I don't really like the aesthetics of any of the Dark Souls games anywhere near as much as I like this, because they all kind of look relatively similar. There's obviously amazing enemies designs in all of those games, and world, levels and world designs and spectacle and whatever.
But this one just feels
so unique
in Elden Ring when you go underneath the map, basically.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Bloody hell.
Getting chased by electro crabs.
Yeah. I don't ever want to play Elden Ring ever again. I can't handle it. I've got high cholesterol, lads. No thanks. Oh, this one's going to be fun. We're on to the negative ones before we get to best game. Worst aging. I'm not going to say too much about mine, because I struggled for an honorable mention with this, because I didn't want to shit on an 85 game. And there was so many other ones to choose from. You could probably say, yeah, this is aged bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's because I said to you that the category is kind of like it was good, but now has aged badly.
Yeah.
A bad game will have aged worse, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's not really in the spirit of it. So I've gone for the original Yakuza, which I haven't really played. I've just seen footage of it, and there's a very obvious reason why they have remastered both of the PS2 era games.
What's changed?
It's just these ones are just very early concept of what it is, and they're very clunky as far as I know. The control schemes just completely overhauled for the remakes of them. That it's just like even from a purist standpoint, they've basically rendered them completely irrelevant. They're obsolete because of the Kiwami games are so
Is it a PS2
vastly improved.
game?
It's PS2 game, yeah. Those watching the video can see my copy right there. I have the copy of it.
It looks like someone's
You
back.
see his tattooed back, yeah. I will play it one day, just because I want to watch the English dub that's got fucking Mark Hamill as Majima swearing his head off like a bloody sailor. So he is. I think it's kind of clunky to play now, and in the the relative terms of looking at the remaster or the remake and how much better that is, this game is almost completely pointless. So that's why I feel like it is aged badly.
And my runner-up is your winner, so I guess we just dive in, right?
Yeah. I've never been a massive Fallout 4 fan. I've played it quite a lot. I'm a big Fallout fan, but this was a disappointment for me at the time. If I was to go back and play it now, as soon as I had to start building anything, I would probably turn it off because I just hate that mechanic. It's not necessarily badly implemented. It's just too much of a focus certainly in the early part of the game. We have to take time out of actually playing it to build up those fucking settlements and stuff.
And they keep dragging you back to it as well because your settlements keep
just
getting
constantly
attacked.
annoying you. Yeah, exactly. I don't like the fact that the guy has voice acting because it massively narrowed the choices that you could make from the dialogue responses, and also, there's a player agency in the interpretation of the purely text-based responses from 3 in New Vegas that I preferred to kind of hear it in my own head rather than hear a guy deliver that line. That just wasn't quite what I would want it to sound like. But I think the real reason that this has aged so badly is that they just did an anniversary edition of it. It's kind of cheating, but whatever. An anniversary edition of Fallout 4 that came out this year, absolute disgrace from all accounts and what I've heard. Runs terribly on the Switch 2, which was a big thing they were banging on about. First of all, actually, nobody fucking wanted this. This was their big reveal where we all wait for Fallout 6 or 5 or whatever, which is years and years and years away because of Elder Scrolls 6 coming up next. Nobody wants Fallout 4 remastered. We can already play it on the modern systems anyway. And
it's also the second sort of time they've remastered it as well.
Well, yeah, and we'll get to that version as well in a second. But we want a remake or a remaster of 3 in New Vegas. Nobody fucking wants an anniversary edition of Fallout 4. That was tone deaf from the start. The fact that they'd already remastered it or done a new generation version, which broke the game, was bad enough. But this version fucking broke it again. It didn't even, people couldn't even quit out of the game without turning their machine off, apparently. Yeah. Even Task Manager wouldn't close that shit down. They broke basically all the community mods because they forced in the create whatever it's called, the paid mods instead. And apparently this would even break the game if you upgraded from the original version to the upgraded version. So it would break your base game as well. Bethesda are so bad right now. They're like what's the word? They're sort of credit in the bank has completely run out, and they have fucked this game up twice. And it's not even that good to begin with. It's like the worst Fallout game apart, in the since the 3 era started. with this stupid building mechanic. I don't really like the story. The whole plot twist at the end where it's like you are the main guy's dad, even though
Yeah,
you're young and
your
he's an old
son's an old
man.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, like that was stupid. I really thought the end of this game absolutely like shit the bed. But the fact that they've just recently charged 60 quid for an anniversary edition no one asked for that fucking breaks and is full of the same bugs and introduces new bugs. Just talk about aging badly. How could you age any worse than that shit? What have you got? What have you got
No, I
to
totally, I
pile on?
totally agree with
Pile some more
I
on. Go
totally
on.
agree with everything you're saying with the game. This is another game on this list that I platinumed. I really liked it when it came out, and as time's gone on, I've just sort of looked at it more and more and think, actually, like Alex says, of the modern Fallout incarnations, you're the worst one. You sort of lack personality in a way, and I think again, like perhaps it feels like cheating, but I'm finding Bethesda as a company deeply frustrating these days. They've gone from making like Oblivion and then Fallout 3, New Vegas, and Skyrim, when the first version of Skyrim on Xbox 360, not PlayStation 3, because that's a mess as well.
And so is the anniversary edition of that when it
Yeah, and
first came
just
out as well.
to making like some of my favorite games, I think I would broadly attribute them. So, like, if we think about my favorite RPGs, like Mass Effect 1 and 2, the Witcher series, Oblivion, like I said, like Bethesda was the company that sort of made me realize that the Western RPG was amazing. I'll never ever forget the moment that everything clicked into place when, and that a lot of people had. This is not a unique experience by any means, but a lot of people have when they walk out of the sewer in Oblivion. They're like, "Oh my god, I can go wherever I want." And then you just spend days and days, weeks and months of your life exploring Bethesda games. And now, like you're talking about the credit in the bank, that's long gone. Like everything they have done for years has been terrible. Probably starting with this game. Now I think about it, like Fallout 4 was bad, and I know we're probably going to upset some people that might listen to this podcast, but like Fallout 76 launched like an absolute tire fire. I know it's got to a stage now that people like it, but it's sort
I
of
mean, I'm
blown its
still never going
chance
to
out the
care
way.
about it though.
Um,
Yeah.
the Oblivion remaster is messy. Let's say.
Yeah,
I,
but
I
it's a mild victory for them, I suppose,
I
that it's
enjoyed Starfield for what it
impressive
was, but I
enough.
got in like weird bugs. I remember I just got on my ship one day and my wife in the game just ran at me furious, telling me that she was going to leave me if I ever did that again. I hadn't done anything. It's just like
Oh, you never told me that before. That's
yeah.
brilliant.
And then like yeah, like the Fallout, every time they re-release Fallout 4, it's a mess. They've just put out Skyrim on Switch 2 that they've somehow messed up as well.
Still can't run that at 60 frames
No,
apparently
and I
on a
was
fucking
watching
Switch 2.
the skill up video yesterday, and they were talking
Hmm.
about when that launched on Xbox 360, it was 15 gigs on the disc. It's
Yes.
now 50 gigs
Yeah.
on the Switch 2, like 10, like I don't know, like 20 years later, and it runs
And
worse.
worse. Yeah.
I, at some point, I'm just like, what are you doing, Bethesda?
They aren't doing anything. That's the problem. It's just nothing. They just throw stuff out broken. Who tests this shit?
And then yeah, I
There
agree.
is
And
a
then I'm
disgrace.
just so disappointed. I'm disappointed because I loved them and I loved their games. And like
Yeah, we love the
I
Fallout
know
world
you've
and the
yeah,
lore and everything.
I know
Yeah.
you've had some problems recently with Cyberpunk, and I have I have had some small problems, but I look at that and like the mess that sort of the mess that was when it launched sort of
Yeah.
undid a lot of we were talking about credit in the bank
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they got from with The Witcher 3. It went from being when a CDPR game comes out, I'm buying it sight unseen to, oh, I now
Mhm.
need to think about that. And that's not completely gone, but they have put in the work to make it better. And I don't
Yes,
believe
relentlessly, yes.
yeah, and I don't believe that if they re-released that game on another console, it would come out in even half the state that the Bethesda games are being shut out on. It feels like a monthly basis. And
Hmm.
same with what's that game? The Joe Danger guy.
Oh, you know, Man's
Start
Sky.
No Man's Sky. Look at the work they've put in to fix that. There's no way that would come out again in any sort of state. And then you look around, people doing things like, well, people love Fallout New Vegas, but then the stuff that they've gone on to do with the Outer Worlds, and it's just like people are doing stuff competently better and more quickly than everything you're doing. And I'm just like, well,
Yeah,
what's the point in you
yeah.
now?
You've just like they've somehow
Where's Elder
managed
Scrolls
to.
6? Where's that gone? 6
Yeah,
years.
they've built a reputation out of developing games on a house of cards
Yeah.
over and over again, and they every single time they knock the house of cards over
You know what
in
the House of
every
Cards
release
over
of
in the
every game.
same way and
Yeah,
worse and in new ways.
yeah,
So they don't fix what was broken and then they add new problems to it. I just
yeah,
find
they
them
do.
deeply frustrating. And I also think the
Yeah,
gaming industry as a whole, but especially Microsoft development houses, need to find a way to get more games out more quickly. Like
yes,
you cannot create series. That's a plural, isn't it? You cannot create series of games that people are going to get attached to in a way that people are attached to things like The Witcher or Resident Evil when you release a game once a decade. It's just you just can't do it because people will forget and move on. And like the way that things happen, people get old, people die, people move on and
yeah.
have kids and have less time to play games. So if you're releasing a game once a decade, you're giving players no chance to get attached to anything. No chance
And,
whatsoever.
and yet Fallout London has existed in the time since
Yeah.
even Fallout 4 to the remaster, and look at how well that came along and turned out. And you can guarantee those people for no money, really, they're going to keep working on making that as good as it can possibly be. And for
Exactly.
Bethesda to do something as poor as that Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition and charge as much as they did for it, and to absolutely bungle capitalizing on a really popular, brilliantly made TV show.
That's just,
And
yeah.
this is the
What
release
are
that
they
they
doing?
came up with after that, when it's never probably been as publicly popular in like pop culture as it is now. And that's what you gave everybody to capitalize on that. Unforgivable. Like whoever was in charge of that Anniversary Edition, I'm sure they don't work there anymore. I don't think they did a lot of work while they were there. Clearly, look at the
No.
fucking state of it. Yours is interesting because it's a game I've never played, but based on what I expect to get out of it, I never want to play it ever.
No, I've gone for GTA San Andreas, and it's kind of sad because I love this game and I love the. I was going to say the original GTA's, but they're not the sort of 3 San Andreas and Vice City. My God, my brain went blank. I wanted to call it Miami. Um, they managed to get those games out again, like what in three games in 3 years. And they're all in the same engine, and just unfortunately, like setting aside the mobile version that's on everything now that launched in another game that launched in an absolute mess. I just think this game's sort of had its day. Controls, story, controls, map design, difficulty is all has all just moved on. It's not the game's fault. Things are just different now, and I think when it comes to GTA, the furthest back you can really go is to 4. 4 is still good, but yeah, San Andreas, time has changed, and even like what it did, it was going for bigger and better, and then I guess sort of as time has gone on, you realize that bigger and better is not always, well, better is always better, but like sort of bigger and grander in scope is not always better, because this game just ends up having a lot of open space with nothing in it.
I can imagine.
Because they had gone for like sheer size of map. They had tried to create a state, whereas the other 2 games had been cities. And yeah, I mean, they do it. Then you play it and you realize that actually it was better when it was smaller because you could put more things to do in it. There's a lot of open space. I mean, like, again, like when I was a kid, I found it fun having to go and eat food. And if you went to the takeaway, you got fat or you had to go to the gym and things like that. But actually, I think in David in 2025, can't be asked with that stuff now.
No, I can't either. That's why I'm so keen to try Bully. That seems very focused.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to going back to that.
Yeah, it's got an anniversary next year, so we are looking to cover that. But yeah, and I heard I think Kelsey and I have spoken about this on one of the draft episodes where the back page in the lead up to GTA 6, they've started to like replay all the GTAs and talk about them. And
oh, cool.
the sentiment I got from them playing GTA San Andreas was just that neither of them had any fun at any point because it's so hard to control. It's so messy. It's so bloated and long, and it's so difficult and unfair. There's no the checkpointing is terrible. I believe in the definitive edition, the checkpointing is far more forgiving and is the way to play it. Or obviously on an emulator where you can just do save states and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you said, those original GTA PS2 games are a chore, which is a sad thing to say because they are
They were so good in their day.
impressive and groundbreaking and important to the games industry. But it's a real ask to go back to those and stick it out.
Yep.
We have 2 categories left. This category, the penultimate, is biggest disappointment. My honorable mention was my winner for a very long time, but I think I just had to swap around the 05s because I couldn't find a sports or racing game from 15 or 95 to put in there, so I had to go to Mario Kart DS, and therefore I lost my 05 slot. So Perfect Dark Zero, you got away with this one, son. What the fuck did you do to one of my favorite N64 games for a console launch I was very excited about? Like, nothing Perfect Dark was in this game. I don't get it. It's horrible. It has a final boss that is among the worst ever made. It was just an example that we've mentioned a couple of times recently of like, developer has popular thing, good thing. It then jumps up to a new console generation and then strips the entire game back just to make it look nicer and run better on the new hardware. And you think to yourself, like, what happened to all the cool Perfect Dark stuff from the N64? Where's all of that gone? You've just made a bland shooter now with a shit boss fight at the end. Looks okay. I saw Eurogamer, I think it was Eurogamer, made a video recently called like, we need to talk about Perfect Dark Zero, as if they're going to try and like bring the general sentiment around on this and like change opinions that it's actually not that shit. But yeah, I need to watch it to kind of see. And you know what? I'm so susceptible to this kind of stuff that I thought, if they convince me. But for now, I got this with my 360 for Christmas 2005. I clearly must not have read reviews about it or something because I got it. If I'd have read reviews, I'd have made, what's it actually got on Metacritic? I don't know why my voice went so high there. Perfect Darl. It's got an 81. So maybe if I had read reviews, it wouldn't have made any difference anyway.
Yeah.
What's the user score? 6.4. The first review on there. What a terrible thing. Nice. Another one. 4 out of 10. Pros, good music. Cons. And then he's just got loads of them. Yeah. Oh God. Not only was it a disappointment that my new 360's got a shit game that I don't really like. Also, it's a shit game I don't like from a series I love. And thirdly, it's a shit game from a series I love by a developer I adore. What has happened? Like, I've lost all faith in my new Xbox, in Perfect Dark as a franchise, and in Rare as a developer. What has happened to my life? You ruined my Christmas, Perfect Dark Zero. I will never forgive you for that. What is your honorable mention? Yours is Halo 5.
Yeah, I've gone for Halo 5. I just think
I've never played it because I think you pretty put me off it, and I was like, not touching it then.
Yeah, you and
but
I have had
why
such
shouldn't
a nice time over the last couple of years playing Halo 1, 2, and 3 now.
Yeah.
And they're lovely. And then Halo 4 came out, and it was like, oh no, they've just tried to copy Call of Duty. And then you kind of like, well, okay, everyone's allowed at one miss. So we'll just sort of put that down as a mistake, and then we'll wait for the next one. Then Halo 5 came out, and it just feels to me a little bit confused. And it's sort of the beginning. Obviously, like Halo 4 is the canary in the coal mine. We're like, oh no, this series is losing its direction. But the Halo 5 is the confirmation that it's not managing to get itself back on the road.
Yeah, because it's like they try to branch out and make something a little bit different and give it their own identity, but no one enjoyed what that was.
And it finishes on a cliffhanger that they just utterly abandon. Yeah, I think this is sort of if Halo 4 is the first one that's starting to lose its way, Halo 5 is the absolute confirmation that they don't know how to right the ship. And like I say, I think
Yeah.
it feels confused. And what I mean by that is it feels like it started out as an open world game in what Infinite eventually became. But at some point during development, for whatever reason they decided to change course and try and turn it back into like a standard Halo game. There's a part of the game where you come up to a camp and you've got to walk around the camp and speak to people and figure stuff out so that you can make a plan to move forward into the next level. And that's the only time it does it. And it's just like this really sticks out as coming from something that was from a different game. And I think that, although it's perhaps not fair, that sort of encapsulates where I feel like Halo 5 went. It's got 1 foot in the old Halo, 1 foot in the new Halo that would become Infinite, and no feet in anything that's a particularly memorable experience for me.
Yeah.
And it just became another shooter, to be honest, which is it's a real shame.
I do need to play it. I want to have an opinion that's based on my own
Yeah,
experiences.
maybe we'll get to it one day. I think maybe the way to get some fun from these games is to play them co-op, because then at some point you just don't care what the game's telling you.
Yeah. Isn't this the one where isn't there some kind of like recurring antagonist that's kind of chasing Master Chief about? Is that right, or something like that?
Yeah, you're right. I was trying to remember while we were while you were chatting there about Perfect Dark, but I couldn't find him in a video I was watching, just to remind myself that I wasn't getting him mixed up with the Halo 4 enemy. But yeah, I think you're correct. Yeah, and that's Halo 5. It's just a shame, man. It's a shame because I think Microsoft generally are starting to, are showing that they're dropping the ball along all of their big franchises. So hopefully Gears of War can buck that trend next year.
Because
if they can't, then I'm going to be upset.
Yeah.
Your winner, Alex.
My winner
I'm disappointed in this game as well because it's such a good idea.
Yeah, you can hear more about this in episode 95 of our podcast, which was the SNES and Mega Drive Roulette, where we played this one the first time. I said to David in the run up to this when we were talking before we went live that no game that looks this gorgeous and has this cool of a premise should be this shit. And that game is from 1995. It is Comics Zone, a game that people will tell you if you explore the levels correctly is not as difficult as we talk about it being, but it's a game that gives you one life. And if you lose that life, you start the entire game again. It's got a combat system that's not great. It's, nothing close to a Streets of Rage, for example. It just looks so good. It would probably be able to convince absolutely anybody to give it a try. And I think that 95% of people who do try Comic Zone will be bitterly disappointed and confused about why it's so hard, why it's so dull, why it's just so mechanically bland considering how visually amazing it is.
It's like they've got the idea and they've got the art style nailed.
Yeah.
They just didn't make a good game out of it.
Yeah, just it's such a great idea. Even like the comic panel stuff, the guy like drawing and rubbing out enemies, like all of that, really cool. But they just didn't put a proper video game in there. It's just like a punch and a kick and a jump kick, and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
And like rats are taking off crazy amounts of your health, and you die 4 levels in, and you start the entire game again because you only had 1 life. Terrible game. Like I think we gave it D tier, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we gave it C because of the visuals, but I hope we didn't. But I remember being disappointed in it at the time. I think I don't know if I had this on the Mega Drive, but I certainly must have rented it or something because I remember playing it back in the day and getting suckered in by the box and the visuals and stuff and being like, I hate this. This is awful. And I still do 30 years later. Yours is a good shout. I didn't even think about yours.
I've gone for Batman Arkham Knight. sort of disappointed in multiple ways. One, again, this is sort of recurring in the negative column, but the way it launched was an absolute mess. It was a buggy
Certainly on
mess.
PCs, it's a
Yeah, I
disgrace.
even remember
They took it
getting
off sale, didn't they?
yeah, and I remember getting into my Batmobile tank thing, and it just wouldn't move sometimes. I had T posing. Yeah, it was a real shame. Especially, I feel like given the absolute sort of disdain and borderline antagonism that these developers appeared to at least give Arkham's Origins, and just like pretending it wasn't a proper Arkham game when actually it's quite a good game, and then sort of marry that up with how good Arkham Asylum and Arkham City were. It's such a bummer that they just didn't back themselves up properly with the final one in this trilogy. Um, yeah, and that's it really. It's just a huge bummer because again, like it's not actually that bad a game. I don't think.
No, it
It's
looks
just
brilliant.
yeah,
I remember a lot of people were saying for that entire generation, even towards the end of it, even when some games were coming out on the modern systems, like Arkham Knight still looks better than all of this.
it does.
It's got some cool villains in it. I don't like the whole main it's Jason Todd, Robin's not dead kind of shit. I've never been a massive fan of Red Hood and all that kind of stuff. But it is largely the Batmobile, right? And that's the elephant in the room.
Yeah,
It's that the Batmobile was awful, truly awful. Like the Batman gameplay was as good as ever. I think it potentially did feel a little bit tired.
I think so. This was the fourth of these games.
Yeah, they peaked a bit early with it. Like they perfected it on game one. They never really took it that far past that, and it was fine for a while. But this was a new generation now, and the best they could do to update the formula was get you a car that can strafe and is a tank, which was fucking dumb. Nobody wanted a Batmobile like that. I don't know how you put a Batmobile in a game like that because realistically, you don't watch Batman movies and see him driving through the streets all that much.
Really.
And if you do, he's showing up to get out and do something else.
Yeah.
The driving of the Batmobile just this is when you see games like on the Mega CD and stuff, they would just have a driving level. Same with the Bond games back in the day when they started adding cars into that. It's like, here's a level of driving, not here's driving in the,
I think you see the Batmobile in Arkham Asylum when he arrives. So your two options is to let them see it or to create specific levels around it.
They just seem to get so fixated on, this is the last thing we need to give you. You've waited all these 3 games for the Batmobile, and we're giving it to you now.
I
but
also think
it's a shooter instead.
I also think that, and maybe I just don't like or know superheroes well enough, but Batman's the one superhero that I will sort of engage with, and I feel like for a lot, like Batman's the world's greatest detective. He's not necessarily the world's greatest action hero or like action star. Yes, he can do that sort of stuff, and the fight scenes and stuff are good. But actually, what's fun about Batman isn't him driving fast in a car necessarily or flying in a Batmobile. It's seeing how he approaches enemies and sort of simultaneously facing his demons, which is where the sort of fighting and violence comes from, and also being a detective and figuring stuff out. So I think, I just think they missed the boat a little. Missed the mark is probably a better thing to say than boat.
Yeah, and sadly, the disappointment of certain aspects of the game kind of then bleed into the familiarity you're feeling from the mechanics you've already played in 3 games up to now. You're kind of like, oh, the Riddler trophies can get fucked. I'm done. I don't care anymore. Done it for 3 games, and we're still doing the same sort of puzzles to get 400 Riddler trophies. It was a shame because it should have been the culmination, which shouldn't really, if they were, because they went and made Suicide Squad, which was the disaster. But that should have maybe just been like the sending off point of, this is the final chapter in this Batman story.
Yeah.
If they're counting it as a trilogy and they're ignoring Arkham Origins, as you said, this was the worst of the lot, and it's a real shame. I still played it all the way through and 100% it. But
I think I did as well. Sort of battled through the problems.
Yeah. We've not had a Batman game really since. There may have been a side scroller of some kind. I don't think there
Definitely been
was.
some VR Batman games that I will never
Oh,
play.
I played that VR game, and it's I did it in 20 minutes. I can't believe people would have paid full price for that. It's a disgrace. It's cool for a few,
Yeah.
for 20 minutes, but Anyway, let's ditch the negativity and go on to best game, which
Yeah.
has 3 games we've already talked about.
Yeah.
So let's hear your honorable mention first, because
Yeah.
I was very surprised to see this in there.
I put in here not because I think it's the best game or would even make a top 5 list of these 3 years, but because it was a great game that I think is probably worth a mention, and this was a slot it could go in. Until Dawn. I think it's it's got Rami Malek in it. It's got Save the Cheerleader, Save the World, Wifey in it. It's a fun teen slasher story, and I've got such a soft spot for silly, fun, like over the top horror movies, and it's sort of that in a video game. It also came along at a period where I was enjoying the sort of, we spoke about this earlier with Life is Strange, but the walking sim game, and I just think it's one of, if not the best in class of those types of games. And the Dark Pictures anthology seemed to have moved that particular genre perhaps on a little bit further, but at the time this game came out, it was awesome. And there was rumors they were making a film. Did they do that?
I think those rumors are quite recent, aren't they? They're certainly remastering this game for some reason. I don't know what that reason is. Doesn't need it, because I mean, it looks phenomenal. This could have gone in
Until Dawn movie.
Oh, right.
Yeah, if you've got apparently,
I
if
can't
you've got a
understand.
Now TV subscription, it's on there.
I just can't understand that, because although, as you said, you know, it can be entertaining to just watch pure, like, trashy, schlocky B-movie horror like this,
Scream,
or teen horror.
For me, is the same thing. It's just silly.
Yeah. Except that Scream, especially the first one, was supposed to be a parody of that. And like a commentary on horror movies itself. This has none of the subtlety of Wes Craven's opus, I guess. So I found quite a lot of the characters in it incredibly annoying.
I found one
but
of them
I could
annoying.
get them killed, so that was fine.
Yeah.
That kind of like sarcastic, jokey comic relief character was a fucking idiot. I hate that guy. And I was so glad when he got his guts sliced apart by that thing. Although actually, oh no, it wasn't him that did it. That was Rami Malek, wasn't it? But he didn't actually get killed by that thing, I think. Is that the spoiler?
Rami Malek dies in my game.
Yeah, but doesn't he then come back because he's the one who actually is doing all of it?
Yeah, he's the bad guy and then gets eaten by all the vampires that are running about.
Oh yeah, okay, but he also died in my game before that because he got tied to that machine and got sawed in half. But he didn't really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, you've got the memory there.
But so I hated a lot of the characters, but it was tolerable because I'm playing a game where it's kind of spooky and I get to kill them off if I don't really like them very much. I don't think I could sit through a film of that unless they drastically rewrote the script and all the characters' attitudes.
I think the problem with
annoying.
the film that I'm looking at just now is there's better and more recognizable actors in the game than they have cast in the movie, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, well, you're not going to get Rami Malek to go back into that now, are you? He's way past this at this stage.
Yeah, he's too busy being the worst James Bond villain there's ever been.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, what a cool choice. I played this with my wife, actually. It's one of the, she's not that massively into games, but we sat through and played this like together, and she really enjoyed it. It was sitting down to watch a TV series with each other.
That's exactly it. And for me, it's just like a popcorn game that is entertaining without being deep. And I think that's okay for some games. And for me, I think there was one girl I found extremely annoying, but yeah, I didn't have quite the same reaction as you did.
I know I think the girl that you found annoying would be the same one that I did as well.
Yeah, it's just a silly fun time, and I wish there was more of these games. Maybe there is, and I'm just not engaging with them. I need to play that superhero one that came out. I've got the Dark Pictures anthologies downloaded. I think I've played 2 of them. Maybe I just need to go back and play them if I'm ever in the mood. They're nice and short as well, which is also wonderful in a game that I'm currently playing Cyberpunk, and I'm sort of approaching 60 hours now. And yeah, sometimes it's nice just to have a little 3, 4, 5 hour game, get in and get out.
Oh Yeah. And the motion capture and face scanning and stuff was like early PS4, insanely good looking game. Like they looked so realistic. It was crazy. What an achievement. My honorable mention for best game, Witcher 3. I feel sad that I couldn't fit it in to any category. That was partly due to the restrictions on how many per year that we could have. But as I said before, it was also going up against two of my all-time favorites in Bloodborne and Resident Evil 4, which, spoiler alert, is my winner for best game. But I think we've said all we kind of need to say about Witcher 3.
Yeah.
And probably Resident Evil 4, and probably your winner. It's just, the best way to look at that, to look at these ones, I guess, is to avoid repeating ourselves. We did a podcast where we did our top 10 games of the century, and we did that in it's more recent than that. We did that in episode 119 back in July. So that's a 3.5 hour podcast if you want to go listen to more to longer opinions on these games. Than we're going to give you here.
To sort of maybe just say something we've not spoken about it just now. I think each of these three games sort of hold their own in different ways. I think if you're sort of I've never played The Witcher 3. I think it's safe to say that it's still good today. You'll still have a blast with it.
Absolutely.
The characters are unmatched in many ways, certainly in the RPG sphere. Resident Evil 4, I think if you're interested in video games as a medium, and I think you probably are if you listen to a video game podcast, it's a game that you have to have. I feel like you just need to play to sort of understand what came next and how important it was, like you said, for Gears of War. What both good and bad came of the Resident Evil series afterwards. I think it's still important to understand, because I think obviously it's a horrible game, but I understand sort of how, combined with sales figures, combined with trying to turn every game into an action game, which the game was doing at that time, I sort of understand if I don't agree with how they end up at a game like Resident Evil 6 after releasing Resident Evil 4, and it's just interesting. And I also think Chrono Trigger, it's just that it's an important JRPG. It's if like me, you're a sort of recent convert to the JRPG, it's a decent place to start as well. It's approachable, it's still fun, it looks nice. There are lots of places to get it now, at little to no cost, depending on what platform you're purchasing it for. So yeah, I think they're all
it came out on Steam, didn't it?
Yeah, they're all worth their salt.
I just can't believe, I can't believe Chrono Trigger won your best game instead of Witcher. I was absolutely taken aback by that.
The Witcher
delighted.
was sitting in best game for a long time. I just got to the point where I was like, I think I as much as I enjoy the story for Chrono Trigger, I don't think it would be my best story, and I think I prefer the Witcher 3 story over it. So yeah, I just switched them round. But yeah, it's still one of my, again, this has come up a couple of times, one of my favorite games. So
I know. I mean, I will. The Chrono Trigger will always be tied to that memory of walking in to my parents' spare room in the morning, and when you'd come to visit, and you're just in there playing Chrono Trigger on your DS.
Yeah,
just that will just be encased in time in my head of just, oh yeah, I remember when David was playing Chrono Trigger on his 3DS in my mum and dad's house. Back when we both just got really into it.
Yeah.
Do you still have your 3DS version? Yeah, DS version. Or did that get killed? Please tell me that didn't get killed in the flood.
Well, I don't have a 3DS anymore, so I have not seen. Well, at least if I do, I've not seen it. So
because it's such,
I can't think where it would have went though.
If it worth a lot of money.
Yeah, I think it got destroyed.
That's so gutting. One thing I'm going to say about your honourable mention, actually, Witcher 3, dear listener, don't let anybody ever tell you that the combat in Witcher 3 is bad. It's not. It's really good.
Yeah.
I'm not having that it's bad at all.
That's great.
It's a little bit balletic and like dancey, but that's fine. Mm-hmm. That's fine. And yeah, Resi 4, we talked about it earlier here. We talked about it this year in our Resi 4 pod. We talked about it in the Games of the Century. It's one of my favourite games ever.
Mm-hmm.
David said all they needed to be saying the gameplay one. It's just brilliant. But also the original version for me has more fun with itself than the remake does, which takes itself a lot more seriously, and it loses some of the campy schlock that Resident Evil as a series had been threatening to do to that point. Code Veronica is a very silly game, and Resident Evil 4 really just ran with that element of it as well. Leon became this wisecracking. No, that's Chris and.
So what is? I was out walking the dog yesterday, and I was trying to go through. So I'll tell you this, and I'll guess, and you tell me if I'm getting this right. So Chris Redfield's in 1. Is that right?
Yes. Yep.
In the females, Jill.
Yep.
And it's Leon in 2.
Yep. And
Claire Redfield.
Yeah.
In 3.
Yeah.
That's the girl from 0.
1. It's a girl from 1.
Is it Jill?
It's Jill, yeah.
In 3, you're Jill.
Yeah, because it's Rebecca's the one in 0, who then turns up in 1 like she's forgotten that she just murdered loads of zombies and cries in a corner.
And then 4, it's Leon and the president's daughter.
And Ashley, yeah.
And 5, it's back to Chris.
Shiva! Yeah.
Shiva. And 6, it's Leon.
And Chris.
And they're both in 6.
And loads of other people, like Wesker's kids in there. Sherry from Resident Evil 2, the little girl, she's in it.
Now, Chris makes an appearance in Village. Are either of them in any of the other 2? There's 3 of those, isn't there? Yeah. Is there 3 of those?
He's right. He's right at the end of 7. Chris Redfield's right at the end of 7. After you kill the big granny face monster thing.
Oh, that's right. And then he shoots up right at the start of 8, and he turns into a shooter in 8 in Village as well.
He kills you. He kills your wife, doesn't he? And then he's the Call of Duty bit in 8. Yeah.
And is Leon in any of those?
No, he's in 9. though, isn't he?
Is it only 7 and 8? No. Is it? Is that the only first person ones? Is there only 2?
Yeah, and then Requiem will be. Requiem is the third of the trilogy.
Okay,
yeah.
Leon's in that. And is Chris in there somewhere? No, we don't know yet.
Maybe.
Okay.
He is a part of that story. I mean, I know.
He is.
Ethan is now gone, but we're. Oh no, we're not playing as Rose. That was in the DLC. It's Grace, isn't it? So maybe Chris is done.
I don't know what Rose does in the DLC, but presumably she's still running about somewhere, right?
Yeah, I need to finish that. I started playing it and it really scared the shit out of me, so I stopped. But I need to go back and finish that. Certainly in the lead up to Requiem, I think I should play that.
We'll find out next year when
Yeah.
Requiem comes out.
Indeed we will.
When is Requiem out?
February.
Okay.
Not long now.
Not long now. Not long now.
Well, that's it.
That's
our winners. Resi 4 and Chrono Triggers.
Are we doing a different Game of the Year podcast, or is this our one?
Yeah, let's do that in January.
Okay.
We'll do a proper one in January. We'll just figure that out. Like, that'll be our first podcast of the year.
Well, I hope you're having and have had a nice Christmas, dear listeners.
Especially, and apologies if I say this username wrong, but it's Aries Based, who sent us a message on Blue Sky saying, thanks for an amazing year. Hope you both have a lovely Christmas and a new year. Genuinely touched David and my hearts. We know we don't get thousands of people listening to this. So anyone who's in our little comfortable corner of the internet as one of our listeners and wants to reach out and tell us things like that and show us that they've listened to us for over nearly 2,000 minutes of their year, makes it all worth it. It really makes it all worth it. So yeah, we hope you have a lovely Christmas as well. And everybody else listening, we are so pleased that you're here. So thank you for your time.
The search goes on for the one arsehole because he is not it.
Definitely not that one. Yeah, that's the best. That's the best. Human.
He's the best of us.
Yeah. The search for the one arsehole goes on, and it'll only end up being me. So please, someone out there, come and be worse.
Yeah. So yeah, next podcast, like Alex says, will be our Game of the Year podcast, and that'll be out in January. I don't think we've got anything booked before that, do we, Alex?
Uh,
Because you keep saying you've got family stuff. So are you away?
well, I'm going away to Bristol this weekend to do like a pre-Christmas with my brother-in-law who can't make it,
Okay.
and then it's Christmas. So we may be able to fit one in if you want to do the SNES Mega Drive Roulette, because we've still got those games to
Yes.
finish up. I just
Why
don't
not?
want to pull you away from your cyberpunk fun.
I'm on the last mission. I started the point of no
Ooh.
return, so I'm on that.
Oh, okay.
The next decision for Cyberpunk is whether I decide to play the DLC or go back and do all the different endings. But I've picked the
Okay.
ending I want as my ending, and I'm going to do that and enjoy it, and then see how I feel. Because there's a lot of missions. So Scott is my friend Scott, who's also playing this, is shooting for the platinum. And I was like, oh, it looks like a fairly doable platinum. It's just time it takes. So I started going for it as well. Turns out that was a mistake because so one of the trophies or there's several trophies linked to this. You need to do all the side missions, which are fine. They're good. It's a CDPR game. The side missions are good and interesting, but there's a lot of them. And then you've got to do.
So far, I've basically just had the guy whose dick's on fire or whatever it is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then you've also got to do all of the NCPD missions, and there are maybe several hundred of those. And
Oh my God, I started some of those. There's like
Yeah.
20 at the beginning, and I got so confused. It's part of where my confusion started, where I was like, I think I'm terrible at this game because I'm supposed to go into some sort of bar and ask to speak to someone. And I went to the barman and he told me to fuck off. And there was a bouncer in the way. And if I got too close to the bouncer, he pulled a gun on me. So I distracted him with some hack and then walked in, and it became a hostile area and ended up having to massacre like 50 people, and thought, I don't think I was supposed to have done it like that.
There's
But I'm finding every mission I'm just massacring 50 people
so
because I
ended up
fucked
doing
something
that
up.
as well. I started trying to build a character just sort of off my own back, and then again I was chatting to Scott about it, and he had followed a guide to make a gunslinger, and I was like, oh, that sounds fun. So I reset all my stats and made a gunslinger, and I am just waltzing into rooms with my handgun, one-shotting people's heads into smithereens, and then just like I've basically turned it into the RoboCop game.
Ah, nice.
Where I just walk in and I just like absolutely gat the living. I am like shooting people in the head from like 300 meters away. I am just like an unstoppable force. Whereas before I had been like messing around with them like the hacking and things like that. And I mean, there is fun to be had like that. And give the games due, you can sort of create a character in any way you want. But yeah, the sort of flying boulder, like bull in a china shop that I've created, a character that I've created.
I want to do that
really
now.
quite
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, a friend of mine said, "Oh, focus on melee because you get loads of boss fights where they're all melee. So do that." And I mean, I've certainly found that with the first one of those psychos that I tried to track down, and when it kept flicking invisible, I was like, "What the hell is this?"
Oh, that one! I did one that was like on a mech. The first one I encountered, and I was like, "Oh my
nice
God!"
Yeah, I basically just ran around a corner and she wouldn't follow me enough so I could just shoot her. It was really weird. She wouldn't come fully out of the area. She just kept going back in it so I could take pot shots. Because if I had I must have lost a fist fight to her 15 times and died so many times.
That's one thing we can touch upon when we sort of have a quick chat about it next time we pod. Is the game is, for all that I'm liking the game and for all it's got loads of strong points and it's got that CDPR DNA, it is sort of distractingly rigid in certain ways that sort of really like will jarringly take you out of the immersion. So like there's stuff like that where like cyber cycles just will not leave their zone, to the point that you can try and kite them out and they just won't do it. Then there's also like story aspects. There's a sort of the romance options in the game, depending on what body type you select. There are people that you can't romance. So there's this male character called River that you meet, and if you've got a male body type, which I have, you can't romance him at all. But when you sort of finish the mission, you go for he invites you around to dinner, and you go around to dinner, and the game acts like you're a female, and will direct you towards conversations to try and push you down a path of romance, whether you want to or not. Like I had never flirted with him. I was a male, so I couldn't romance him at all anyway. Yet I sat down and his sister started asking me who I was seeing, and then he started like really camply like dragging me away from the table saying time to go and like walking away, and he's like, oh, sorry about that, you were just about to see all these children's pictures. And then like you go and have a romantic beer with him on top of some sort of water tower, and it just like the game is lax. It's just entirely rigid. It'll just like drive you down these. Whereas like I've played other games like The Witcher. If you select certain dialogue, or even Mass Effect back in the day, if you select dialogue options that sort of steer you away from a romance, it'll just go round that and find other ways to give you chat. Whereas I found this one very odd.
Okay,
in that way.
Interesting. I'm going to look up this. Send me that guide for the gunslinger. That sounds like a really fun way to play it.
It is.
It'll stop me. It'll stop me being in my own head about being shit at hacking and being like, wait, what's the difference between overheat and short circuit? I don't remember.
Every time I walk up to someone, like the way you're playing it, you'd be like, oh, okay, I need to go and like find a computer to hack into to distract someone. Whereas I just whip my gun out and blow their head off, like, and just walk in.
I'm gonna do that instead because I'd like distract somebody and then go after them, and there'd be like 14 other blokes looking at me like, "What are you doing, mate?" Like, "Oh, well, I use the camera and everything." Oh, come on!
It's so satisfying.
Now you all have to die.
You walk into a room and there's 6 guys in the room, and you use 6 shots and just kill each one with a headshot. It's just you just feel so good when you finish. It's like, see ya.
Yeah. Yeah, send me that guide and I will change my stats after this pod. I'm going to go ahead and respec immediately.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll no doubt talk.
So should we do it? Are we doing a snares one before the end of the?
Yeah, let's try and fit it in.
I've got 2 weeks off work, so we can fit one in.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll give me a break.
Don't have to be quiet at night anymore, do I? I'm stuck in the garage. I can be as loud as I want.
Exactly. Yes. Well, okay. If you like, on that note, we've reached the end.
Should we say what they are then?
Yeah, because I don't know what they are.
So the next games we're going to be playing are
because you don't know what they are either, do you?
Spanky's Quest on the SNES, which was that monkey-based puzzle platformer. Operation Logic Bomb, which I think was another platformer. Star Fox 2. That was our SNES ranking that we got last time. And then on Mega Drive, we pulled out randomly Virtua Fighter 2.
Yes.
Very interesting for David, who's now a fighting guy. Musha, which is a vertical scrolling shmup.
Okay.
Really metal as fuck, that game. And Gunstar Heroes, a game I adore. I think is incredible. I really hope David likes it. I'm sure he will. It's a very strong lineup. Even the ones that you've never heard of look interesting enough to play. We currently have Target Earth, Claymates, and Space Harrier 2 in D rank. We have Comics Zone, Battletoads, Psycho Dream, and Strider in C rank. So we did give Comic Zone a C. Kirby's Dream Land 3 is a B. And then in A, we've got Shinobi 3, F-Zero, and Earthworm Jim. And just a 1 S rank in Wild Guns.
Wild Guns is so good.
So good, I bought the remastered version on the Switch. Can anything beat that from those 6 games? Find out before the end of the year.
Yeah. Yes. Next up we've got SNES Mega Drive Roulette, so keep an eye out for that in your ear holes. And we've reached the end of another episode. So if you liked what you heard, and even if you didn't, why not give our numbers a bump by subscribing to our podcast in your podcast feed of choice? Or if you prefer to consume your podcast in a visual format, you can head on over to YouTube, search for Winners U Podcast, and you'll get us there. Give us a subscribe. If the podcast isn't enough for you, the best place to get us these days is over on Blue Sky, at Thrillix for Alex, at Super Smiley for me, and at Winner Is You Pod for us. If you're one of the younguns, check out TikTok. Again, search for Winner Is You Pod and you'll find us. Alex, any housekeeping?
None at all.
On that bombshell, I've been David, he has been Alex, and we have been Winner Is You, and I'm out.
Merry Christmas and keep gaming.